Are you searching for a deeper understanding of your faith?
Inspiring Philosophy is your go-to resource for exploring the rich tapestry of Christian thought.
From biblical archaeology to philosophy of mind, we dive into the topics that matter.
Our content bridges faith and understanding, offering insights into God's existence and the reliability of the New Testament.
Join a community where faith meets reason and discover the answers you've been seeking.
Inspiring Philosophy, where faith meets understanding. All right, everyone, let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited for today's stream. I've been looking forward to it all week. This is going to be amazing. I got Than with me. We got Chris from Speaker's Corner. I was like, Chris loves this kind of stuff. He's got to be here for this. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be good.
There's nothing funnier than a Dawa guy who thinks he's got you. And really, he has no clue what he's talking about. He's making error after error. He's contradicting himself. And you're just watching them. But it's like watching like a gymnast like run out there and then like try to do a flip, but like land on their face and then go, ha ha, I won, right? Like, it's like, no, that was pathetic. Like, but this is what we're doing today. The guy that responded to us, DC Dawa, which I'm just going to call him, according to the DC part, Dawa Clown, because that's what happened with this response. It was a joke. It was hilarious. And I am so excited to dive into it. What were your thoughts, Chris?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I couldn't believe this guy was being sincere. I mean, I'm pretty sure he is sincere. I think he actually believes what he made in that video. And I thought, wow, that is a new level of bad. I think either he spent like 10 minutes thinking about it and that's all he's ever thought about this. But man, it's amazing. I can't wait to go through this. It's going to be so good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I honestly was like, my first thought was like, is this guy like, is he like doing satire? I just, man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's that bad.
I was a little annoyed that you made me watch this video.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know the problem. So for those who don't know, yeah, I made a video a little while ago responding to a Muslim preacher claiming that it's acceptable to marry your cousin in Islam. And if you'll notice, DC Dawa is going to immediately strawman because he's going to argue Islam doesn't promote child marriage. Yet, duh, I didn't say that anywhere in the video. I said it allows. That's the problem. So he's going to agree that I'm right, attack his straw man, claim victory, waste $31, and he's going to think he did something there. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, let's, but first, I think what we'll do is we will play the video I made, which is like 5 minutes really quickly here. And then we're going to get into his lovely, lovely little response. Thank you, Bengalans. You're late, Mike. You've been hanging around with David and AP too much. I like a minute, maybe. Like, chill. We're here. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be okay. Yeah. So let's start by playing the video I made so you guys can get the context, because this is also important because Dawa Clown left out a ton of my actual arguments. My key argument, one of my key arguments, he just conveniently left out because it really just ruined his entire argument. Holly says Muslims are defending marrying their cousins. Are we really surprised with this? This feels like something we'd expect from Muslims. Yeah, it is, because Muhammad married one of his cousins anyway. So yeah, this is the Prophet was excellent moral example, so therefore it's okay, it's allowed, and they want to They want to mimic their obviously false prophet. And so he married his cousin. He married a 9-year-old. They can do either of those. That's the way it is. All right, let's start with the video. Let me pull up mine here, and I'll play this really fast. Link below if anyone wants to see it. It's the wrong one. This is the response. Let me grab mine here. Here we go. All right, so let's play this one, and then we will play Dawa Clown's response.
Marry my cousin.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously not. This is something Muslims and Christians should easily agree on.
You want to marry her, go ahead. It is halal. For some reason, it is something people make fun of Muslims. Oh, go marry your cousin, go marry your cousin. Yo, bro, we marry cousins all the time. People have been marrying cousins for millions of years, bro.
And humans have been doing dumb and evil stuff as long as we've been around. That doesn't magically make everything we've done okay.
Real quick, just notice, so when we get to Dawa Clown's response, notice I acknowledged in that response that, yeah, cousin marriage has been around long before Islam. It's been part of many, many cultures. Key point he wanted to brush over.
And yes, the chances of a birth defect might be increased, but it's not to the level where Allah knows us. Allah knows best.
Clearly, Allah doesn't know best. These two reviews have reported multiple health problems and birth defects from cousin marriages, including genetic diseases, cardiovascular diseases like congenital heart disease, blood disorders, rare bleeding disorders, von Willebrand disease, platelet disorders, renal diseases, congenital malformations, and postnatal mortality. As one of the papers says, the main reproductive disadvantages of consanguinity appear to be increased risk of multifactorial disorders like diabetes, cardiovascular disorders, obesity, and certain types of cancers, which may indirectly affect reproduction. The rate of congenital malformations is reported to be increased or doubled in consanguineous compared to unrelated couples. Rates of inborn errors of metabolism are higher as most are autosomal recessive, and this may in turn lead to pregnancy wastages. In other words, cousin marriages, or more broadly speaking, consanguineous marriages, can result in a host of problems in the offspring they produce. And this can easily be avoided by not doing the gross thing in marrying your cousin. If this is what Allah is allowing, then Allah does not know best. Truly, Allah gives the worst of medical advice. And by the way, the papers I cited note that consanguineous marriages are a major problem in Islamic nations. As one of the papers says, attitudes towards consanguinity within Islam are ambiguous, but it is thought that generally Islam favors consanguineous unions, seen as following the Sunnah or deeds of the Prophet. Corey et al. In 1992 found the practice to be more common in those households with Muslim affiliations. Christianity in the past might have been seen as condoning consanguineous unions, but by 591 CE, a special dispensation had to be obtained from the church to marry a relative closer than a certain degree due to a papal legislation citing the Book of Leviticus. The consanguinity rate in Muslim Pakistanis in Bradford, in northeast of England, is about 69%, as compared to the national rate of less than 1%. So consanguineous marriages are rampant in Muslim communities, and this has resulted in all sorts of birth defects and horrible diseases. And this is because Allah sanctioned them because He doesn't know best. Meanwhile, in Christianity, we started outlawing these types of marriages early on because we had better guidance, including a principle we call the two books, the book of scripture and the book of nature. We're allowed to use nature to better help us interpret scripture, as well as guide our moral compasses. So when science shows us all the problems that result from cousin marriages, we're allowed to say that's immoral because of what we found in nature.
That's a key argument that DC Dawa Clown doesn't want to talk about, as you'll see soon.
Islam lacks these same important principles, and instead you have to submit to all of Muhammad's decisions, regardless of how anti-scientific they are. And this is why in Muslim communities, you have a problem of rampant cousin marriages. And you have preachers like this guy saying all that matters is what Allah said, when in reality, what matters is what the science shows. So it's high time we abandon Islam for the safety and well-being of our children. In Christianity, you can have religion without the harmful consequences you get in Islam.
My parents were cousins. Look how I turned out.
Oh no!
Yeah, look at how you turned out. Being an anti-scientific Islamic preacher advocating for cousin marriage. I think you should get your head checked.
I have brothers and sisters who married cousins. I have lots of people in my family who are cousins who are married. Absolutely not a single issue in any of my siblings' family ever.
Even if that is true, you
I
guys
just want to say, I like how his phone was going off, like it was like an alarm sounding, like, this is not accurate.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is that me? What's happening?
No, that's his phone giving him away that he's lying.
have just been lucky. And one of these days, that luck is going to run out for your family, as the science shows. It is true that not every consanguineous marriage results in birth defects or diseases, but there is an elevated risk that isn't necessary. Just don't marry a family member, which is gross. And by the way, the more your family line engages in these types of marriages, the higher the risk will be for your descendants. Don't marry a family member. Allah does not know best.
Okay, so that's the full video. Okay, notice a couple things here. Chris, did I ever say Islam promotes child marriage?
No, but I'm I'm gonna make a case that it does in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, someone's actually already mentioned it in the chat. Actually, something I'm gonna dive into.
Do you want to wait till we're?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wait for that. But
now
yeah,
I'm interested to hear that, but I took a more conservative approach. I don't need to argue it promotes it. I don't need to.
Mhm.
All I need to do is show that it allows it. That's problematic. That shows Allah is ignorant, and that's a problem. Meanwhile, in Christianity, we have a system set up where we're allowed to look at nature. And you have, of course, Leviticus 18:6. None of you shall approach any one of his close relatives to uncover the nakedness. I am the Lord. The Catholic Church took that to mean, okay, no more cousin marriages. Probably looking at the science, looking at that verse, you have this combination of using scripture and nature to make a deduction that this type of thing should be wrong and outlawed. So now we'll get into Numbers 36 later on in this stream, but you could clearly see Christianity had a better system. We see cousin marriages are very, very low in the Western world. Meanwhile, they're rampant in the Islamic world because it's allowed. Islam never got rid of those horrible practices in old cultures, and they've continued this horrible practice now.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Yeah. All right, let me grab some super chats here. Then we'll get into DC Dawa's response here. Great to see powerful Christian minds. Oh, hi, IP.
Don't be a
You
smart
got you
ass.
there.
Seriously, I mean it. Conduct yourself properly.
See what I got to put up with here. Than, I like your bookshelf. Yeah, there's a little bookshelf with all the
I have
action
2
figures. on.
bookshelves. Okay, I'm just too lazy to put these books back into the bookshelves. I've been using them for research projects. Okay.
Nice.
Excellent. I can already hear Muslims, but what about the Old Testament? Dude, that's their only argument. It's whataboutism. They always run to that as if that applies. And we'll get into that today. Again, they don't understand how Christianity works. They've never understood how Christianity works. They think everything in the Old Testament applies to Christians. It doesn't. And if they spent one day studying how Christianity works, they would realize that. But that's what they do. This is a super chat for Than to read. I'm not reading it.
Woof woof, my dudes.
Yep, that's right. That's what he says.
Does Chris need the context for that? Or?
Please,
No,
give me
he just
the
needs
context.
to think you're weird. No.
What?
Than is just weird. That's the context. That's all you need to know.
I have to
If
vindicate.
you get a
myself.
Fury suit
Okay.
out, a camera, I'm gonna be a bit worried. But
The context of that is one day we opened up the stream, and Mike was like, "We need a catchphrase or something." The first thing that came out of my mouth, just came flying out, was "Bark with me if you're my puppies," and now it's become a meme. Look,
This
Mike,
is what I have to deal
Mike,
with. This is what I have to deal with, Chris.
Would you rather have it be woof woof or like that anime oh well thing?
You know what? All right, he's
no,
out.
I'm
All
happy
right,
with
now
woof
he's
woof.
No, he's out of the
Go back to
stream. We're
woof
not doing
woof.
this anymore. Freaking ridiculous. I have to put up with this crap. Man has also bathed in their main water source. Man has also bathed in their main water source. What is this about? I don't know what this is about.
Yeah.
Not sure.
All right. Check out Danny Jones on the Joe Rogan Experience. We could look at that. Maybe Dan and I could look at that Monday, maybe on the
What is
stream.
this?
I don't have. Danny Jones was on Joe Rogan podcast. They talked about, I think, some Christian stuff. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard some stuff about it. So maybe we could check that out for Monday.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll pull it up just so that way it's there so I can watch it later.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it too. And if you, Iron Spiring Philosophy says, and what if your cousin is 11 months old? We need Daniel Hakikachu more than ever to clear this up, please. Yes. For those who don't know, in my debate with Daniel Hakikachu on child marriage, he said that if a girl has gone through precocious puberty at 11 months, then, the parents can marry her off. It's okay. It's because there's signs of puberty. So, if you're a cousin and 11 months, you go right in. Muslims, apparently, no, please don't. Actually, that's gross. Come on, do better. Jedi Jazz says, "What up, Michael? You're a legend as usual. Love from Australia." Well, thank you, Jedi Jazz. Appreciate you being here. Good to see you as well. So, all right, are you guys ready to brace yourself? Are you ready for this wild response we got from?
Yes.
Oh my
Let's do it.
gosh! Oh, this is going to be fun. Just get ready, ladies and gentlemen. This is something.
Is it acceptable to marry my cousin?
Oh, well, obviously not. This is something Muslims and Christians should easily agree on.
Yes, of course. Both Islam and Christianity allow cousin marriage. Oh, wait. Did he say obviously not?
Allah knows us. Allah knows best.
Clearly, Allah doesn't know best.
Yeah.
Allah does not know best. And this is because Allah sanctioned them because he doesn't know best. If this is what Allah is allowing, then Allah does not know best.
Really? This is the smackdown you're going with? So
Yes.
let's destroy this pathetic argument by dividing this video into 3 sections. First,
Okay, he's going to destroy the video. Are you ready, guys? This is how he's going to destroy my video. My video that is about why it's problematic that Islam allows cousin marriage. Ready to watch him destroy it? Here he goes.
Islam does not promote cousin marriages. It allows it.
Sorry. I find that too funny.
I'm going to destroy this video by agreeing with his main point. Islam does allow it, folks. Take that, IP. What? He just did, like, the 44 seconds into this video, he's already debunked himself. Already.
Move the goalposts and hope no one noticed.
Absolutely right. Nowhere did I say, let me know when you're ready to do this, Chris, but nowhere did I say Islam promotes cousin marriage. I said it allows, and that's a problem. What does Dawa Clown do? Well, you're right. I've destroyed you.
Let's keep going through this. Maybe, I don't know, I'll jump in at some point or near the end of the first section, as he calls it, and then explain why I think it obviously does promote it. But yeah, let's keep watching.
Allows it. Secondly, the Bible also allows cousin marriages the exact same way the Quran does.
False,
Wait,
but
just to add as well, I don't know if you noticed, but when he started the video, he said Christianity allows it, and now here he's clarifying a little bit and saying the Bible. I'm not sure if that's a little slip up there, but it's interesting anyway.
It's a sleight of hand, is what it is.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about why cousin marriages are halal. So let's get into this first point. Theologically, Islam does not promote cousin marriages. The Quran simply does not restrict us from marrying one per this verse. There's no extra reward for marrying a cousin. It's just simply not in the list of restricted people one can marry.
The papers I cited note that consanguineous marriages are a major problem in Islamic nations.
So again, real quick, you're right. Notice the shifting of the goalpost, Chris. Like, you're right. Like, oh yeah, IP is wrong because Islam doesn't promote cousin marriage. Dude, the title of the video is Islam allows cousin marriage. Are you deaf or dumb?
Also, notice what he did there. He goes, there's no explicit verse in the Quran. So that's it. Game over. It doesn't, basically what he's asking for, and this is again, shifting the goalposts, and he's not just shifting it a meter or two back, he's shifting it into the next state or whatever, to use American terms. What he's saying now is that you need to open the Quran and you need to go to Surah 115, verse 1, and see where it says, we are totally not telling you to have cousin marriages. We're totally not telling you that. That's what he's basically expecting. It's like, no, we don't need that at all. all we need to do is show how cousin marriages are actually mentioned by reference in the Quran, which they are. So can I share my screen if that's all right? Or I
let's
don't.
do it.
Yeah, if I
Let's do that now. I think this now would be a good time to do that because I took a more conservative approach, and you're like, nope. This I can go the distance. I can go the distance. So I was like, Chris, you go the distance. I want to hear this. But again, it just shows how incredibly ignorant Dawa Clown is. He sets up a straw man that I never said. But again, are any of his followers going to call him out? Nope. They just they do whatever. Your slides came up at the bottom, then they disappeared. So I don't know what you did.
Like because I got multiple of these. Yeah, I know. I came with the receipts.
Excellent. All right. So your slides.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So this is Surah 33, Ayah 37. Now, I'll have to kind of explain a little bit of context here because the Quran has no context. So people like DC Dawa probably aren't even aware of this. But I'll go through this and then I'll talk about what it means. So, and remember, O Prophet. So again, this is about Muhammad. When you said to the one for whom Allah has done a favor, and you too have done a favor, keep your wife and fear Allah. Okay, so there's a story in Sunni Islam that Muhammad met someone called Zainab. And he really liked this woman called Zainab. He really liked her a lot. In fact, according to sources, he probably saw her semi-naked or just in a compromised position when he went over to visit her. And apparently he somewhat fell in love. I'm trying to use like the nicest terms possible when he saw her in this compromised state. The problem was, though, is that Zainab was not a free woman. Not in the sense of being a slave, but rather she was already married, and she was married to Muhammad's adopted son, Zayd. Now, this verse is going to basically go on to tell Muhammad, because this is coming from Allah revealed this verse, to actually marry Zainab and don't worry about it.
It's very convenient for Allah to jump in and be like, no, you get her. It's okay, buddy. Allah really is very interested from all eternity to satisfy Muhammad's sexual desires for some reason.
It's very interesting. I've never seen something like this, but the Quran is a very particular book. Right. So while concealing within yourself what Allah was going to reveal. So Allah is going to say something else. But Muhammad's saying, keep your wife and fear Allah. In other words, Zayd noticed that Muhammad had the hots for Zainab. And Zayd's like, look, Muhammad, if you want my wife, I'll divorce her. And then initially he's like, no, you keep your wife, Zayd, my adopted son. You keep your wife and fear Allah. But then Allah's like, no. I was going to reveal something differently. And so you are considering the people. So again, he's worried about what people might think. Muhammad's, he's making his own adopted son, Zayd, divorce like his wife. And then he's going to marry her. That seems like a horrible thing, even in 7th century Arabia. But anyway, Allah corrects this, whereas Allah was more worthy of your consideration. You should have been thinking, Muhammad, about what Allah wanted, not what people wanted. And what does Allah want? He wants you to marry Zainab and make your adopted son divorce her. So when Zayd totally lost interest in keeping his wife, again, we actually have his name mentioned, which is why we can be confident this is the context. We gave her to you in marriage, so that there would be no blame on the believers for marrying the ex-wives of their adopted sons.
It's very important. It's very important that Allah has to clear up for us.
It's very important. This needs to go in the... Think about it this way. This could have been a hadith, right? No. It needs to go in the Quran. We need this in the revelation itself.
So important. So many people are struggling with that around the world to this day. Oh, wait, Islam abolished adoption. Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, that's one of the most, I would say, a very evil thing, like abandoning adoption. Think of like the real effects that has. And also, I gotta love the way they translate this at the end. And Allah's command is totally binding. I don't know. Some of the ways they translate in English sometimes come across as quite humorous. Like Allah is the most competent. It's just a bit weird of how they translate it. But anyway, that is not just the end of it, my friends, because it gets worse. And you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time to get
let's bring this back around to cousin marriage issues, because she's not a cousin, so I can already hear the Muslim.
No. Cousin. She is a cousin. Sorry, my whole thing. This is and we're about to find out. Let me show you.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. This is, let's have a look. This is Tafsir of, that's Surah 33, Ayah 37. This is Ibn Kathir, one of the best exegetes in the Islamic tradition of the 14th century, accepted by basically everybody as a big authority. Let's see what he has to say about this. So Allah's rebuke to his messenger and the story of Zayd and Zainab. Yeah, so his adopted son was actually a slave at one point, and when he was given to Muhammad, he kept him as a slave for a while, which is kind of weird. Then he made him his adopted son, which is like, oh, okay, that's absolutely fine. Now, I want to show you specifically where... This is interesting. If Muhammad were to have concealed anything that was revealed to him of the Book of Allah, he would have concealed this ayah. So he's kind of embarrassed about this. But anyway, meaning when her marriage to Zayd was over and he had separated from her, we married her to you, and the one who was her wali, the guardian, in Islamic practice, everyone's meant to have a wali, like a woman has a guardian when she gets married, but she didn't have one, and that didn't matter for some reason because it was Allah who was the guardian. But anyway, in the sense that he revealed to the Prophet and he should go unto her without any wali, contract agreement. Allah was pleased with him. Okay, absolutely great. So I'm looking for where it is, but in here it explicitly mentions cousin. Let me Control F and find it. No, this is a pain.
Oh yeah. While you do that, I'm going to do a couple super chats here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just checking where it is.
So we have a new cousin McMuta special with OnlyFans promo code. Hi, Than, from Dawa Troll, who's working at McDonald's.
How do I interpret this?
What do you mean how you interpret it? You have a new special. Is that what's going on?
I guess so. Yeah.
Here we go. The messenger of Allah had given him in marriage to the daughter of his paternal aunt, Zainab bint, and it's her full name. May Allah be pleased with her. So she was the daughter of Muhammad's paternal aunt.
I see. Yeah. So there you have a cousin marriage happening right there. So Muhammad's doing it. Therefore, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, yeah. Like Allah actually says it's totally binding.
Mm-hmm.
He has no choice in this. It's that good. And he's doing it for a really noble purpose, to explain to people that it's legit to break any existing understandings you have with your adopted sons, because they're not really your sons. Don't think of them that way. And if you ever wanted to marry their wives after they divorce,
totally. Yeah,
it's totally legit. Yeah.
Totally
this to me... Okay, so real quick to anyone who isn't aware, there's a concept in Islam of the Sunnah. It is the narrations, the traditions, the practices of Muhammad. And Muhammad is considered a great moral example. In fact, he's considered the greatest moral example in Islam. So if Muhammad does something, unless he specifically says, and this is a bit weird, but sometimes he'll do something and say, I'm doing this to show you not to do this. But he never says that here. He's like, no. Allah told me to do this. This was the revelation. This is the best of things. And for that reason, this is binding. So yeah, I make the argument, no. Islam, in terms of the Quran and the whole Hadith and Sunnah, it does promote cousin marriages as being something that is like the behavior of the Prophet Muhammad. It's not negatively seen in Islam at all. It is seen as a good thing. And like you pointed out earlier, IP, this isn't anything new to Islam. This predates Islam because it's part of the whole clan system that Arabia was living in many, many hundreds of years, if not however long before that. Islam simply adopted it and continued it, and their greatest moral example did it.
Yep, good point.
Huh. What? So, would the person we're responding to know about this?
Well, he never mentioned it. He said there's nothing in the Quran that constitutes to anything promoting a cousin marriage. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. You don't know the context of certain verses where it's specifically about your greatest moral example marrying their cousin and doing it for a very noble reason because Allah commanded it to happen.
Huh. What would he say back to this?
I have no idea, in all honesty. I
He
think
would
it'll be-
say, he'd probably say something, well, we're still not getting a reward for it, therefore it doesn't promote it. Okay, but I mean, again, Chris didn't make that argument. I didn't make that argument on my original video. So, like, it's a shifting of the goalposts. Like, still, you have Muhammad engaging in it. He's supposed to be an excellent moral example. And you have Islam clearly allowing it, which is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, wait. I've got like 1,000 tabs open. I don't know if you guys ever have that problem, but
No,
I
I
always do.
clean up after myself like a normal person. So,
good
by
for you.
the way, muta special is like a muta is like a temporary marriage that happens a lot in Shia Islam, where you marry a prostitute, typically a woman, for a couple nights, and then you pay her. It's just prostitution, but it's a marriage, temporary. You know, that's what it is. So you have a muta special, is what he said.
You guys,
You want to do a muta together, Mike?
All right. Anyway, you're out of the room now. Anyway,
you know,
go on, Chris.
do you know specifically why they're inclined to do that kind of thing? Do you know the story about if a woman is divorced from her husband and she thinks, oh, I've made a mistake, I want to go back, she has to sleep with a different man before she can go back to her husband?
Yeah, that is. Explain it, because I don't know. I think a lot of people in the audience will, but yeah, you got to sleep. You have to have a woman sleep with another man before you go back. It's insane. Yeah,
this is in the Quran and it's expanded on in the Hadith. But if a woman and a husband, they're man and wife, if they divorce, and then later on the woman thinks, that was a mistake, I actually want to return to my ex-husband, I want to remarry. In order for her to do that, the Quran makes it clear that she cannot do that until she has slept with someone else. Which, if you think about it, that kind of explains muta marriage, right? Because you now have a whole industry, potentially, of men who go and have sex with women who want to return to their ex-husbands, but can't do that Islamically until they sleep with someone. So the guy comes in and is like, hey, I'll do you a big favor, right? You pay me some money, I'll have sex with you. After I do a really quick marriage, it's only a temporary marriage, it's muta marriage. And then after we do the deed, you can then go marry your husband and I'll divorce you. And
welcome to Islam, folks. Welcome to Islam. It's insane. Than, you want to convert? You ready to take your shahada?
Pretty horrific. Man,
really, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Not a massive fan of that.
No, I'm not. I think people already know. Like, I'm just not as well studied in Islam, so I'm just kind of here for the ride right now. And man,
sounds.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here. We want you.
I'm here just to see how many times Mike's gonna kick me out because of the stuff I say.
You see, I married my cousin, and it saved on wedding costs, as both of our families were the same people. You see, it's powerful stuff.
Can you bring my shared screen up just real quick? This is just to hook everything together so everyone has the full context. And then I'm going to zoom in to have super big text. So in that same chapter I showed you, we haven't jumped anywhere. We've just gone a few verses before. We're now in verse 21, and it says, indeed, in the messenger of Allah, you have an excellent example for whoever has hope in Allah in the last day and remembers Allah often. And I'm going to tidy this up with something else. Do you know about Ali? Do you know about Ali and who he married?
Mm-mm.
So Ali...
that's a nephew of Muhammad, correct?
Cousin.
Okay. I always get that confused. Yeah.
So Abu Talib is his uncle, Muhammad's uncle, and then from Abu Talib you have Ali.
Right.
Ali was wanting to keep it in the family, so Ali married, I believe it was Fatima, which is Muhammad's daughter. So Ali is his paternal cousin and his son-in-law.
Yep. There you go, folks.
So it isn't just Muhammad and his family are doing this, but I wanted to show you this verse because this is kind of important, because we say, like, Muhammad is the best of moral example in Surah 33, ayah 21, but Surah 3, ayah 110 talks about the community. Addressing the community around Muhammad in the 7th century, he says, you are the best community ever raised for humanity.
This is the dumbest stuff ever.
And you know what's funny? Look, read this. Had the people of the book believed, it would have been better for them. So basically, he's like, "You guys are so awesome. Like,
You
know,
guys are so awesome. Just
This is
having
proof. This is proof that Islam is better
marrying
for the world than
9-year-olds. Yeah,
Christianity.
marrying. You guys are
cousin
so great.
marriages. You do so good. If only the Christians and Jews had done the stuff we do, it would have been better for
Oh,
you."
yeah. We keep having sex with our relatives, having sex with children. We have multiple wives and sex slaves. We're the best of people, ladies and gentlemen. Islam, folks. Islam, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we've all learned something today. Stay away from
Yes.
Islam.
So
I gotta get that.
yeah.
I gotta get that soundbite from AP.
Sure.
I gotta get that one. Yeah. And to sum it all up, glory to Christ. Yes, we are very. Thanks be to God. We're not in Islam. Thanks be to
Amen.
God for sure. Yes. So 2 more here, then we'll get back into the video. Maybe speak on Book of Ecclesiastes. Had an existential crisis after reading the first chapter in IP. Know where the thing in the first chapter in IP. Know where the thing fedoras and atheists start. I don't. This is Solomon lamenting. This is not like God talking. This is Solomon or the writer talking about this stuff. So you got to keep that in context when you're reading it. Not everything in Ecclesiastes is like a command from God. So yeah, I maybe currently the church I'm at is we're doing homilies on Ecclesiastes, so it's been pretty good. What if the men of the Al-Zut were Momo's cousins? Would it have been less embarrassing for Muslims then? What do you think, Chris? You think that'd have been better?
Possibly. It would have made the story even more crazy than it already is, which is pretty difficult to do. But yeah.
We had I had 2 real scholars on last night, and like one of them is like super shy and is getting a lot of fame right now. People kept bringing up the men of the Al-Zut. I'm like, let's move on. We're not talking about this here tonight, guys. Come on. Tomorrow night we can talk about it.
So where geographically was the DD line?
All right. Let's check back on Dawa Clown here.
Note that consanguineous marriages are a major problem in Islamic nations. As one of the papers says, attitudes towards consanguinity within Islam are ambiguous, but it is thought that generally Islam favors consanguineous unions, seen as following the Sunnah or deeds of the Prophet.
It is thought by whom?
This is Dawa Clown's, but this is he thinks his big gotcha is. So get ready for this.
Lying apologists? There is no theological encouragement of marrying your cousin in Islam. Just because
Ooh, see what he just said there? There's no theological encouragement in Islam. So he's not even just sticking with the Quran. He's saying in all of Islam. Yeah, no, that's not true, my friend. The example of your prophet says to differ. The example of the Sahaba, the companions of the prophet, begs to differ. This guy, either he hopes none of us know this, or he's just he doesn't know. He's like clueless.
Could be.
So I have no idea.
Well, it's funny. They always accuse us of lying. And what do when they accuse us? They lie. They lie. Like, again, nowhere in this video did I say Islam promotes cousin marriage. I took the conservative approach, but he can't have that. So he's got to take the different argument and then try to be like, and this is where his big gotcha moment is, because he's already set up a straw man. And now he's going to knock down the straw man in the dumbest way possible.
just because more Muslims do it doesn't mean Islam promotes it. But
again, Dawa Clown, where did I say Islam promotes cousin marriage? Where? If you're responding to me in that video, where?
They do this a lot. Like because they can't actually meet you where you're at, because you're in solid truth in a very reasonable position. So he has to be like, no, I need him to be like, say more. I need him to do all this. You'll find it with the Islamic dilemma as well. They'll basically think that every person that makes the Islamic dilemma thinks that the entire of the Bible and the Apocrypha and all this other stuff is in the Bible, and that's what they're arguing for. But when you're like, no, it's just the Torah and the Injil, I'm just going to say that, then they have nothing to say, because they're like, oh, that's actually really...
What does he call you in this video again? Something like Tiger Stripe or something? What is?
No, inspiring paper, like paper tiger or something.
What does that mean?
Paper tiger?
Yeah, am I missing something?
Oh, wait, it's
paper tiger is a term used to describe something as appears powerful or threatening, but is actually weak and ineffective. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
He's basically challenging you to a mubahala.
Mubahala. Yes.
Yeah.
But where is the academic paper getting its info from? Let's take a look. And I just want to let you know, it costs this much to find out.
This is how bad he is. He actually doesn't know about all the free sites to get these papers from. I didn't pay a cent for this paper. He actually went and bought it. It took him $31 to embarrass himself and make a video.
How dare you make me pay money to learn things? How dare you? All my information comes from Wikipedia and nowhere else.
But it is well spent knowing that it will be used to expose his blatant manipulation.
Okay.
Now I want you to pay attention to these 3 periods here, or full stops, however
An
you
ellipsis.
call it. This means that our paper tiger apologists skipped a few sentences in the middle. But
Oh no.
Yeah, anyone with 2 brain cells knows that.
why? What could have been said in the middle that our inspired paper tiger friend over here didn't want you to read? Because
no.
consanguineous unions predate Islam,
No.
some authors believe that it is sociocultural rather than an Islamic influence. Why'd you take that out, man? I think that's pretty useful information for a video titled Islam Allows Cousin Marriage. And
He
Bro.
even says the name of the title. He even
Like-
says what you're
like-
actually arguing.
Bro, because that highlighted part has nothing to do with whether or not Islam allows cousin marriage. I said in my video, I acknowledge it pre-existed Islam. I acknowledge it comes from cultural factors. I only said it allows. As you can clearly see, the highlighted part has nothing to do with that claim, which you admitted. Like, he admitted Islam allows cousin marriage as his big, I'm going to debunk you nonsense. This has nothing to do with that. I already acknowledged when I responded to the other guy that, yeah, of course it predates Islam. Humans have been doing dumb things for a long time. So what?
What I find really weird is, I mean, the very few sentences above where it says attitudes towards consanguinity within Islam are ambiguous, but it is thought that generally Islam favors consanguineous unions. It's like, okay, so it's still arguing for IP's point. All this is saying is, yeah, like it existed before Islam. Yeah, obviously. Some authors
obviously.
believe it is social cultural rather than Islamic influence. So I would actually push back on this. I know you're making the conservative, or you're being more conservative than I would be here. I would actually say that's probably wrong. When it says some others believe it's social cultural rather than Islamic influence. Islam, the deen, encompasses all of culture. It's not like it's not how we are as Christians in Christianity. For example, you can have your own culture in Christianity and be a Christian, and a totally different culture somewhere else in the world can have their culture and be a Christian as well. Whereas in Islam, if you go to Egypt, they'll have an Arabic culture. If you go to Morocco, they'll have an Arabic culture. If you go to Bradford in England, where I'm from, you'll have an Arabic culture. There is no, you can't get out of it. It's homogenous. So yeah, I would just to finish it off real quick, I would just say that, yeah, Islam actually encompasses all of culture, so you can't separate them like that.
Yeah. And the reason why I left this out was to save time, but I sort of read this and was like, okay, but I'm not arguing it's coming from Islamic influence. I figure anyone with, half a brain will realize that. Apparently they got to make stuff up. I always give Muslims the benefit of the doubt. I need to stop doing that. They're going to lie. They're going to set up a straw man saying I said Islam promotes it. And so I just sort of read this and going, okay, well, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. Islam still allows it. Anyway, let me just skip to the Christianity part. But again, when you have someone like Dawa Clown, you have to lie and then accuse your opponent of lying because it's all about the message, not so much about truth.
Just to be clear, and just so everyone's clear on this, like, IP never made this whole it promotes it argument. He's just saying it accepts it, it allows it. I'm going further, so I'm on a different thing, but just to make that clear, like, yeah, I'm not trying to like speak for you.
I think you made a good case that it does promote it, and if Muhammad is an excellent example, and the Muhammad's companions engaged in it, and they should like mimic them. I mean, yeah, it makes total sense. So. But again, it just shows the incompetence of this Dawagandist here. He can't even represent. He can't steelman. Is this a normal Muslim thing? Because it's like they can't steelman an argument. They never can. They have to lie constantly.
Like sometimes I think it's great when we debate stuff because we stand in truth, and that's why it's quite easy for us because we're saying the truth. Imagine what it would be like if you had to debate things, but you kind of knew that it was wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're in, right? That's how I see it.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on with the video.
Let's look at the sources over here. The source stating that Islam promotes cousin marriages is a paper that is not at all focusing on this topic and provides no evidence, written by an Australian genetics researcher. These other two sources over here, though, are hyper focusing on Islam's role, as you can see from the title. Akrami and Zahra Osati conclude, however, there seems to be no encouragement of consanguineous marriage in the Islamic context.
Consanguineous marriages. You heard me say it like 1,000 times in my videos. How did you not get that right? And again, I didn't know how to pronounce this word either, but I at least looked it up. It was like, okay, how do medical doctors pronounce this? Consanguineous.
It is merely mentioned as a traditional and common custom. Abdullah and Zahir's paper is actually free to view, so I will link it in the description, where they go into far greater detail on this topic. They state that it is commonly and somewhat erroneously believed that Islam favors marriage between close relatives. However, no passage in the Quran can be interpreted as encouraging intermarriages. And then they go into much.
Because I'm just like, so I'm going to give whoever wrote these papers the benefit of the doubt. I think what they're basically getting at is there's no verse that says these specific words. Go and have cousin marriages, right? Like there's nothing in that in the Quran. Yeah, obviously. But there are clearly things in the Quran that do shine a positive light on it. So I think that's to be generous to who wrote these articles.
Well, if you can derive it from tafsirs and the Sunnah based on and use Quran verses as well as you did earlier, yeah, that's a problem for them. That's a real problem, and this could account for why there's so much cousin marriage in the Islamic world, and it's not in the Christian world.
As encouraging intermarriages. And then they go into much more detail, and as I said before, it's free to read. Go check it out. So for our paper tiger apologist over here, why misrepresent info to your audience? Are you a follower of Jesus or a follower of this hijrah? You see this misrepresented manipulation we just covered. Our boy seems to have a habit of selectively choosing information when it suits him and rejecting the same source when it doesn't. We've covered.
So, did I misrepresent the paper?
No, not at all.
No, I did not. Because I never said once in that video, Dawa Clown, this shows Islam promotes cousin marriage. You're really the paper tiger here, honestly. You're projecting your own flaws because you can't deal with them. This just shows how ignorant you are. You can't even listen. You know what makes me think he couldn't listen? He didn't listen to what I actually said. He didn't even pronounce consanguineous right. Obviously, he wasn't listening because he would have actually heard me go, oh, it just allows. It's in the freaking title. So he's like, well, no, that's I got to set up this straw man and make him pretend he was promoting it to lie to my audience that IP misrepresented the paper. That's what you get from Dalwagandis guys. They are pathological liars. And people get annoyed when I say that. They're like, you're being too mean. Dude, the Dalwagandis are pathological liars. And example after example.
Absolutely. And just to be clear as well, like he could have responded to you and said, oh, I think IP's mistaken here. I think this is what it actually says. He's made an error. You know, he could even have like bigged that up, right? And made a big deal out of it. But instead he goes, no, you're a liar. You're a manipulator. You're all these things. It's like, there you go. They go straight to that because it's all about, me strong, me Muhammad Hijab, that kind of.
And if that's the way they want to act, that's what we just throw back in their faces. So.
Him before on this channel, but didn't have time to cover all his deception.
Oh God.
For example, in this video, he tries to prove the gospel authors aren't anonymous by citing the Gospel of Thomas as his source to evidence.
Oh, this is good.
That's right, folks. That was the only source, was just that one. That was it. There, you can clearly see none other on the screen in front of you guys. None other. Nope.
It's just a big list of Gospel of Thomas, right? All these are just.
Good, fan.
What actually was your art? Like, I think for the audience, and it might be helpful here, just really quickly, What is the argument in using the Gospel of Thomas here?
Well,
Is
we'll
it
play
the Gospel of Thomas is reliable and therefore
No.
okay? So
No,
so
and here's the thing. He's accusing me of making this argument.
Mhm.
Let me do Dawa clown. You have a hard time listening. But that wasn't my argument. That table you have on the screen, that's from a scholar named Simon Gathercole. This is his argument. You didn't pay attention. Oops. So let's let him play it and you'll see how bad it is.
It's Matthew as a gospel writer. Wow, good thing Christians have a trustworthy source like the Gospel of Thomas to rely on for such sensitive matters.
In the Gospel of Thomas, we get a hint that Matthew may have been understood to be a gospel author.
The Gospel of Thomas is one of many books that were left out of the Bible.
This is like wondering why the teachings of Muhammad were left out of the New Testament. You're talking about an entirely different religious group that produced a text that would contradict much of the theology we find in the New Testament canon.
This is what I mean about them being so dumb. They don't realize how they think they're doing so good. They're so proud of their arguments, and it's like watching a guy fall flat on his face here. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, nowhere in that video did I say because the Gospel of Thomas alludes to Matthew, therefore that proves. Simon Gathercole uses that as one piece of data in a much larger piece of data. This is not even one of his main sources to go to. This is a minor of a minor point. And then what Dawa Clown does is he cuts in another video of some guy trying to argue for the Gospel of Thomas and me pointing out, yeah, well, we don't include that because it came from a different sect. They taught a different theology. And he thinks this is an own. He's cutting together clips that don't belong together because we're talking about different subjects. In one, the latter, we're talking about how the theology of Thomas contradicts the New Testament. That's why it's out. What Simon Gathercole in his paper is doing is he's pointing out the Gnostics were kind of alluding to the fact that Matthew is known to be a gospel author. And Gathercole and myself don't say this is proof that Matthew wrote the gospel. We say it's an illusion that does support the overall case that we get from multiple sources. The fact that I have to explain this and spell this out for him is sad.
It is. It really is.
Rant over.
Point number 2. The Bible allows cousin marriages the same way the Quran does.
All right, well, that's false. Nowhere do we have an excellent moral example in the Bible who engages in cousin marriages. This is completely false.
The New Testament is totally silent on this matter, while the Old Testament has a passage in Leviticus that lists everyone you're not supposed to marry. And guess what? Cousins aren't mentioned. So where does Christianity actually forbid cousin marriages?
But by 591 CE, a special dispensation had to be obtained from the church to marry a relative closer than a certain degree due to a papal legislation citing the book of Leviticus.
So the Catholic Church loosely
I love this
forbade
bit.
it, but not the Bible. Given Catholics only make up half of Christendom, what do the Protestants think? And for
So I love it. He's basically saying, yeah, but this is Catholic. So the Protestants and the Orthodox, they like, I don't know, are just not included at all and have no. Does he know like when the Reformation was? I don't think he does. I really don't think he does. I think he thinks that like the Catholics, the Protestant, and the Orthodox were all back in 591 as these different groups. And then the
Maybe.
Catholics came and did this. And then the Protestant. Oh, dear.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, again, if you go to what is the Catholic Church citing in Leviticus? Leviticus 6. None of you shall approach one of his close relatives to uncover the nakedness. I am the Lord. Leviticus 18:6. That's what they were citing. And they were saying, okay. And notice that Dawa Clan ignored my more important argument, which was that Christianity has the concept of the two books. Nature is showing cousin marriage results in problems. Therefore, it's a sin. If nature revealed tomorrow, like let's say we got all this studies published completely and totally out there that it is just like, it is so incredibly harmful to eat carrots. Like it causes cancer. Like it would then become wrong for me to give my kid a carrot because the science supports it. That's how we work. We don't have to go to like a giant Suna collection and go, where did Jesus outlaw carrots? No, we can use our reasoning capabilities and go, oh, okay. So science shows cousin marriage results in all these problems. Therefore, it's wrong. Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't say
I was going to jump in. We could make this Islamic, you know, we could make it about Ajwa dates. Like there is hadith that says that they actually heal you and protect you from certain illnesses if you eat certain Ajwa dates. Well, if science came out and went, well, actually, if you eat these Ajwa dates, something bad happens. In Islam, you'd be stuck. You couldn't do anything with that. Because the Prophet told you, and the Prophet can't be wrong. So you just have to discard the science. But again, we don't have that issue. Our faith is totally different than their faith.
Yeah, good point. Good point. We're going to get to some super chats here. So get them in now. If you guys want a super chat answered, we'll go through and answer them all. And do put some in. They do help fund the channel and keep us going. So the more super chats, the better. Is it a good idea to get the study Bible from multiple different Christian sects? I want to get the Catholic and Orthodox study Bible, maybe eventually a Coptic one too. Unequivocally, yes. Get as many as you can, for sure. I don't think Than or Chris would disagree with that at all.
I agree completely.
Than is freakier than the men of Al-Zut.
That's a big claim.
See? He's not denying it. He knows it's true.
I can neither confirm or deny that.
The practice of sleeping with another man before joining your husband again is called making her halal, Arabic name for this practice. It's halala.
Wait.
Remember we talked about that earlier? If you divorce someone and you want to go, you know.
Halal is permissible. So your wife, well, your now divorced wife.
I think the closest thing we have to that is Romans 16:16. Greet each other with the holy kiss.
This is Islam. Marrying your cousin, marrying a 9-year-old, halal. Adopting children, haram. I know what this is. UWU.
I'm about to get kicked. Oh, well. It's that thing.
You know what, Than? I have an innocent mind over here. I'm just enjoying life.
It's not. Wait, hold on. It's not sexual.
It sounds like it is. Stop saying that word. You're
There's
banned
nothing
from saying
good
that word.
has ever came from that noise. No good at all. That's what.
All right, Than is banned from saying the word. IP, great content as usual. The discussion on Josephus last night was awesome. Than, you got to read the rest of this.
Than, your puppies bark for you. Bask in it.
Chris, how does the fact that Muhammad didn't exist affect your reading? Do you think Muhammad didn't exist?
Okay, that's a minefield. So let me real quick. I'm going to be super quick with this. The Muhammad of Islamic traditions did not exist. There probably was a historical Muhammad.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get what I'm going at with that.
Cool. Yeah. I have been trying to ask Muslims. I've asked a couple to come on my channel to debate Jay Smith, who's a Muhammad mysticist. Now, I think there was an historical Muhammad, but I still think it'd be interesting to have a Muslim debate Jay Smith on if Muhammad existed, because I'm actually on the Muslim side on that one. I do think Muhammad existed. Like, I don't agree that all the hadiths are reliable. I think Joshua Little's probably right about a lot of that stuff, but yeah. I think there was an historical Muhammad. So I asked a couple, I got 0 takers. So I'd be interested to see if we get a Muslim to actually debate Jay Smith on if Muhammad existed. Yeah. Because I will say one thing is that Jay Smith, I think he goes too far, but he does have some interesting points he makes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is like, it's a philosophical question of identity again, right? Like, you know, are we talking about the same person? Mm-hmm. You know, like some people would take the position that, well, if it's not the Muhammad of the traditions, then it's not the same person. So Muhammad did not exist. And some people take the position of, well, no, if you can have certain properties that really are, and they really go back to a person, then there is a Muhammad. You know, it's a question of identity. And yeah, that's how I see it.
So, yeah. All right, we'll do this one and then we'll move on. What happens in Deuteronomy with the man and the woman caught in the act? We're working on a script on that. I'm going to work with Joel Correcco on that. We're going to get something out on that soon, so brace yourself. Also, why is the title apologetics somehow so controversial outside of the whole Christian space, at least from atheists? Look, it's atheists just like to use it as a derogatory term, and it hurts them more in the long run because I keep telling people I'm debating people, just tell them I'm an apologist, and it causes all these atheists to keep underestimating me. Hence Lawrence Krauss, like, for example, and hence others like Aaron Ra. I mean, they made it to a derogatory term, so I own it. And yeah, doesn't bother me. They can keep doing it. Just means they'll keep underestimating us.
Yeah.
You see, maybe Momo wouldn't have conceived of cousin marriage if he had set out to find the One Piece. You see? Oh, hi, IP. Freaking One Piece, man. That's another thing. They're like demanding we watch One Piece.
I am half apologetic for the fact that I've unlocked the weeb side of our audience for
Yeah, I'm very proud of you. You helped us out so much. This is great. All right, I'll get to some more super chats in a bit. Get them in now. But before we get back to the Dawa Clown's video, I want to address numbers 36 because there is cousin marriage in there. That is important. It is, people have brought this up. But again, this is Old Testament. This is not part of the New Covenant, and it's given for a very specific purpose. Namely, it's only allowed in this one instance where someone has only daughters and they want to keep the inheritance in the family in Israel. Why is that important? Because inheritance was land. If they kept giving away too much land, the family would go poor. So it's actually a way to prevent poverty. So when Dawa Clown said that it's you allow cousin marriage just the same in Christianity, no. There's only one stipulation that ever actually allows it, and it's you have to be an Israelite living in Canaan during the Mosaic Covenant, and it has to be specifically as an act to prevent poverty and like money going outside of the family, specifically land, to other clans or tribes, and that would cause problems in the long run for them in terms of that. So this is the only instance when it's allowed. And again, by the time you get to the New Covenant, that doesn't apply to Christians anymore. We're under the New Covenant now, so that changes everything. And again, what do we see? The church sets down, because can you follow the science, and the science shows cousin marriage is harmful, therefore it's wrong. End of story. We don't need a giant sunnah to tell us every do and don't. It gives us good guiding principles, virtue ethics that we can use to deal with these issues. So I wanted to address that really quickly. But let's get back, because again, this section is going to demonstrate once again that Muslims do not understand how Christianity works.
Yeah.
They do not understand how Christianity works. They constantly assume an Islamic framework or Islamic principles, thrust them onto us, and then think they've debunked Christianity.
Yeah, I picked up on that a lot in this video. It was like you're treating the Bible as if it's the Quran in the same sense of like inspiration and moral teachings and all this other stuff. And
they think our scholars have to be treated the same way theirs, whereas like the older, the better. And they whatever they say on any subject matters. Whereas we'll say, listen, when like Augustine was talking about theology, yeah, we should take what he says very seriously. When he's talking about biology, no. Same for Martin Luther. When Martin Luther's talking about theology, yeah, we should take what he says seriously and consider it. When he's talking about biology, no, I don't. He's talking outside of his expertise. I don't care what he has to say.
For those who don't know, Protestants despise many of the Catholic Church's rulings that they say are corrupt and go against Scripture. So Protestants give no value to papal legislation like this.
That is the most like weird interpretation of history. Like, okay, I guess all Protestants for one thing. Of the three major branches, Protestantism is going to be the branch with probably the most variation in terms of the groups. So the fact that he's like, nah, they're all just Protestants. It's like, okay, fine.
One of the things that I'm curious about here is like, if you do read the Church Fathers, it's not really explicit to my knowledge, but like you have Justin Martyr who says like you shouldn't have, and I think it's in his first apology. He even says something along the lines of like, you should not have marriage or intercourse with people in your family, relatives in general. And you have places in, hold on, I can pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up. But I will say real quickly, he doesn't understand the Protestant Reformation. He's never read the Augsburg Confession or the Apology for the Augsburg Confession. The point of those is not to like diss everything Catholic. The point Philip Melanchthon is making in that for the Lutherans is to show the Catholics how Catholic they are. That's what you talk to Lutheran pastors. You'll be like, "Are you Catholic?" They go, "Well, we say we are." Like that. Anglicans will do the same thing. Melanchthon is citing so much earlier precedent set by church fathers and Catholic theologians to say, listen, we're in so much agreement. What we disagree is the things that came about within the past couple hundred years. So he doesn't understand Protestantism. He doesn't understand where the Lutherans and the Anglicans were coming from, as well as like the Methodists or the Presbyterians. Like they were not dissing everything that came from the Catholic Church. They were dissing innovations that came close to the Reformation. That was their issue. So he doesn't actually understand this.
Another thing that you can kind of point to is Athenagoras wrote something called The Plea for Christians. In chapter 3, he starts off by talking about something called Ethiopian intercourse in a negative light. For anybody that doesn't know what Ethiopian intercourse is intercourse with anybody related to you.
Who's that again?
The whole, say it again.
Who's that again?
This is, so there's a few different, like this is within a broader category of things. So Athenagoras wrote something called A Plea for the Christians. And in chapter 3, he's talking about Ethiopian intercourse. Now, I'm not saying that this proves anything. I'm just kind of pointing to the fact that this wasn't like a new sentiment at this one Catholic council, right? This is pretty historic.
Yeah.
Martin Luther, no, not this one. Martin Luther, the man credited with kickstarting this Reformation, wrote about our very topic in his Estate of Marriage, where he says, first cousins may contract a godly and Christian marriage. Sounds about right. Further, I may marry the daughter of my brother or sister?
What? Brother, what's that?
None of these persons is forbidden by God, for God does not calculate according to... What am I reading here? The man is saying you can marry your biological niece because the Old Testament doesn't mention it as forbidden? The Quran, on the other hand.
Guys, is Martin Luther infallible? Is he like a pope for Protestants?
Yes, absolutely. He's right about everything, especially all the stuff he says about the Jews. Sorry. He said some very anti-Semitic things, Martin Luther, in the later part of his life. But the idea that we have to accept everything that someone says, I always find really, really strange. This isn't even... I've never met a Protestant who would say something like, well... My theological guide really is the Bible in one hand, Martin Luther in the other, and everything Martin Luther says about all things is the standard. I've never met a person that says that.
Yeah.
But according to this guy, that's the norm, apparently, for Protestant Christians.
That's, again, they don't understand how Christianity works. Again, Martin Luther is not talking about theology here. He's talking about biology and family relations, which he's not an expert on. He's not a scientist on. Therefore, Christians who are not Muslims, who are not bound by an Islamic framework, can go, well, he's wrong, and he's talking outside of his field. This is as dumb as when Muslims bring up Thomas Aquinas on marrying children. Like, Thomas Aquinas is not a child psychologist or a biologist or a doctor, like a modern medical doctor with all the medical technology we have. Therefore, I don't care what he says outside of theology, period.
And Alhamdulillah saves us from this disgusting level of incest.
That's right. You need exact sayings, or you can't use. There's no critical thinking in Islam.
No, that's totally consistent with Muslims' heuristics, right? Tell me in your Bible where Jesus says, "I am God, worship me."
Exact words, you know. They always want the words. But I was just thinking, since he did this, it's probably worth me quickly. Wait. Let me bring my screen up, because I'm not letting him get away with that. Okay. I think it's important to show certain things.
This is why Chris
is one. Yeah. So, okay, you have that explicit verse that says you can't marry your brother or sister's children. Okay, great. But you do have this verse in Surah 65, Surah Al-Talaq, the Book of Divorce, Ayah 4. As for your women past the age of menstruation, in case you do not know, so this is women who have reached a certain age, they no longer have menstruation. Their waiting period is 3 months. You got to wait 3 months. This is in terms of like who you can divorce, right? So if a woman is very like she's getting on in years, doesn't menstruate anymore, you can divorce her, but you have to wait 3 months. And those who have not menstruated as well, this, and you can look in the Arabic, 3 months, and those who, this is a transliteration, not menstruated. And you look at every commentary, it's going to tell you that this refers to little children. It refers to those who have not yet reached puberty. They've actually, to be technical, they may have reached the starting point of puberty, but they have not begun menstruating. You can divorce them, which of course means that you can marry them. And the Quran elsewhere makes it very clear that when you marry someone, to complete that marriage, you have to consummate the marriage. So you have to have sex with them. So the Quran is very explicit in saying you can have sex with underage children. Which I guess you're the expert. You debated Daniel Kikuchi on that very point, so I guess you know that just as well because you presented that argument to him.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, so yeah, the Quran does allow very gross and disgusting things. I think that's pretty clear, and he's all bragging about this.
Justified on a theological level because Allah knows best.
That's why he allows cousin marriage, folks.
You can say Martin Luther was just dead wrong here, and Protestants don't have to follow him, even though they followed him in one of Christianity's most monumental splits in history, changing the course of Christianity forever. But forget the Protestants. At least the Catholics got it right. Great thinking from these guys, saving Europe from incestuous relationships for over 1,000 years.
The 44-year-old King Philip wed his son's fiancée, his 14-year-old niece, Mariana of Austria.
So, one of the most influential Catholics in history, the Holy Roman Emperors, got it on with their nieces?
In Christianity.
Guys,
what are you listening to?
This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
This is what we're dealing with here. Like, this guy thinks you think Muhammad was immoral? Let me cite some random king from the Middle Ages. Why are you not condemning him? Look what he did.
So when you're at a Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park, this is basically the only defense they have for that verse that I brought up on the screen, where it says that you can have sex with children. They basically say, actually, and it's the same thing that applies to current cousin marriages or any of these kind of things. This is a historical person who did it in the past. This person was a Christian. Therefore, you're wrong because this historical person did it. And you know what? The best thing to do, I find, is just to be like, yeah, I condemn it. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, Queen Elizabeth and this person, yeah, I condemn it. And they'll move on to the next example. Oh, this person, yeah, I condemn that as well. And then ultimately you go, now I want you to condemn Muhammad when he did it. And then they'll be silent. So they'll be like, and that's it. There's nothing more to say.
Yeah, Philip III wasn't Holy Roman Emperor. LOL, says crazy in 2029. Yeah, his father was. I don't think Philip was, if I remember correctly. So I think that he got that wrong as well. Pretty sure he was just king of Spain. He was the son of Emperor Charles, but he inherited the Spanish Empire. He did not, I believe, get the Holy Roman Empire though. So. He got that wrong as well, as from what I can tell. So yeah, again, another error from DC Dawa here.
We started outlawing these types of marriages early on because we had better guidance.
For the betterment of humanity, please never share this guidance with anyone, ever. Now, jokes aside, Christianity's relationship with cousin marriage.
So again, he ignored my whole aspect about the two books, my main argument. Again, why Christianity outlaws cousin marriage. Notice he completely ignored my main argument because, again, doesn't fit the Dawa script, so they have to ignore that.
Marriages is not black and white at all, the way this clown portrays it. You could make a cultural argument that Europe doesn't do cousin marriages in the last 100 years, the way the Muslim world continues doing. But making this into a purely theological debate, creating Christian propaganda videos saying Islam allows cousin marriages, while Christianity...
That's not a propaganda. You admitted that Islam allows cousin marriages. Like, how? Like, he admits I'm right, and I'm putting out propaganda. This is how dumb we are. This is the level of dumb we're dealing with here.
Humanity's big man here is justifying uncle-niece unions through your own scripture, with your Holy Roman emperors putting that into practice, and your Catholic Church
Not the Holy Roman Emperor.
taking it to the next level. It really makes no sense. You can't pretend loosely enforced papal legislations represent all of Christianity. I really don't know
Wait.
what the point of
So-
such a stupid video
wait.
was.
Hold
Saya
on.
Chelsea. All right.
All right, go ahead. I want to let him finish that out.
I'm just going to be repeating myself at this point. What? Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
So
Again,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to point out he said that it's been 100 years, or he just gave the number, like it's been 100 years since we stopped doing cousin marriage in Europe. Apparently, I'm like, no, that's not true at all. In fact,
No.
like it was incredibly successful. The church's attempt to curb cousin marriages, it was incredibly successful. You actually look at some of the opinions that scholars have on this. Some people actually attribute it to being one of the very foremost principles that led to individualism as an idea taking hold.
You're
Because
talking about Joseph Heinrich, right?
yeah, and others as well that I saw, and I thought that's actually really profound. I didn't I've never thought of it from that kind of perspective before, because usually when you think of cousin marriage, I think of genetic defects. You know, if you do cousin marriage once, it increases the likelihood, and there's some statistics you can bring up for that. But if you keep doing it, then it's even worse, right? If you keep having cousin marriage after cousin marriage after cousin marriage in your own family line. But yeah, if you look at it from the social aspect, it like destroyed clans.
Yeah.
I find that
Well,
really interesting.
This is Joseph Heinrich's book, The Weirdest People on Earth. Now, that he does get some things wrong. I'm not endorsing everything he says, but one thing he does get right is that the Catholic Church was very successful in getting rid of cousin marriage throughout Europe, which changed the culture. That Heinrich is absolutely right on that aspect. He does get some things wrong, for sure, but on that aspect, yeah, DC Dawad is not aware of a lot of the research. And you know who has cited that Joseph Heinrich's book? Muslim apologists like Daniel Hakikachu has, like arguing for it, that the West is so different. So like, yeah, his own fellow Dawagandists have been using that. So I'm surprised he doesn't even know about it. So, and Moonlight says, make us flood his videos with L's. Listen, you guys can do what you want. You want to go comment on it? Not going to bother me. That's what his clowns did when they came over after his video. So by all means, return the favor. So now he's going to explain to us why cousin marriages are halal.
Right. Third point. What is the wisdom behind cousin marriages being
folks, the wisdom behind all that genetic defects.
My blood hurts.
halal? Let's use the North Sentinel Island as an example.
Wait.
These people
Stop
have been
there. Stop.
isolated from the
Like, okay, remember, what is his point? Why are cousin marriages halal in Islam? The first thing he goes to is, now this tiny island in the middle of nowhere. That's his point. That's actually going to be his point. And I'm just like, wow.
It's a next level stupid.
Wait, okay. Can somebody explain to me really quickly, what does the word halal mean? Like, what is the semantic content of that word?
It would be the equivalent of permissible, legally
Permissible?
speaking.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it's
so
not necessarily saying like morally good or like.
No.
okay.
So you can have something that is halal but discouraged.
Okay.
So they do have that distinctions. Yeah. So you have halal and the opposite is haram, which is not permissible.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. I was just curious.
These people have been isolated from the rest of humanity for tens of thousands of years. Their population is estimated to be between 40 to 400 because we really don't know. That's how isolated they are. Now imagine if you tell these guys they are no longer allowed to marry their cousins.
Yes.
How do you think they've been procreating for thousands of years? They're all related to each other. Any rule banning cousin marriages will disintegrate their society. And this is
That's right, folks. It's haram to disintegrate a murderous cousin marrying society and trying to get them to integrate into a better world. That's haram, guys. We want them to stay the same.
Why would it actually destroy their society? Like
Because,
that just doesn't
man.
necessarily follow unless you're just going to say that their group identity is like just necessarily tied to marrying their cousins.
It's also, I mean,
Sorry,
remember,
I might be thinking about this like a sociologist or philosopher right now, but that just seems like it doesn't follow. That just seems ridiculous.
yeah, it is
And
extreme, right?
remember, Islam wants to preserve those cultural identities of marrying the cousins. Like, it's very important. That's why it's halal. It's very important that we keep these cultures of constant cousin sex going on. It's very important, man.
Is what people need to understand. For most of human history, humans did not live in concrete jungles. They lived in isolated rural tribes. Most people wouldn't venture more than a few miles outside their village their entire life. And their village might only have a few hundred people if they were lucky. Enforcing such rules would decimate entire tribal structures. And believe it or not, Islam doesn't come to destroy your way of life. Regardless of what your favorite YouTube sheikh might make you believe,
That's right, folks. Islam wants to preserve these very important cultures that are going around murdering people that come on their island, that are doing cousin marriage, that are probably engaging in FGM, that are doing all sorts of horrible things regarding slavery and polygamy. It doesn't want to help advance humanity forward. It wants to preserve the ancient, sinful, disgusting cultures as much as possible. You see how good Islam is?
This seems like a very extreme utilitarian ethic. Is Allah utilitarian?
Wait, Allah. No, Allah's more arbitrary than anything else in terms of his moral. I wouldn't even say he's got his own thing going on. Like, yeah.
Good point. Yeah, well said.
The Sharia historically has accommodated itself to its local population rather than a take it or leave it approach, which is why you have different rulings in different parts of the Muslim world. Check out the concept of urf within Islamic fiqh. This is why Islam spread organically rather than through forceful colonization and erasure of culture.
Did you hear that, Chris?
You gotta
Did you hear that, Chris?
Yeah,
Islam did not spread through colonization, guys.
I will while you're pulling up whatever you got, Mike,
do I?
I don't know why I don't remember this part of the video. For anybody that wants to know why this is just like a bald-headed lie about Christianity spreading through colonization and stuff like that, Mike, you and I covered this topic pretty in depth when we were responding to Drew. So some people can watch that.
Was that last week?
I don't remember. Everything's a blur.
It was 8 days ago we did it. So if anyone was interested, but yeah, let me pull up some slides here. I went through 2 books. That's all the time I had.
That's 2 more than DC Dower.
2. That's all. I didn't have time to go through more. The conversion of the nomadic Bedouins of the northern peninsula places a powerful new military force at his command, and he directed them against the Christians and the Jews of the region. Muhammad ordered the expulsion of all Christians and Jews who refused to convert to Islam and the execution of those who resisted both conversion and expulsion. Thousands were killed. As you can see, Chris, there is no compulsion in religion. And of course, here's the hadith: I will expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula and will not leave any but Muslim. Thanks, Muhammad. Very colonial of you. Of course, we have Surah 9, fight the Jews and the Christians until they willingly pay the jizya. There it is. We need to fully submit. Surah 9:29. Surah 98, we are, there it is. We are the worst of all beings as well. So not only are we supposed to be colonized and expelled from the Arabian Peninsula, we are the worst of all beings, as Surah 98:6 says. Robert Hoyland, Muhammad initially attempted to spread his message solely by preaching, but he received a hostile reception from most of his fellow Meccans and had to make a journey in search of a refuge, ending up in the nearby oasis town of Medina. The time of peaceful preaching was over now. He decided it was time to use force to carry out what he had perceived to be God's will. In the year 945 of the Greeks, on Friday, 4 February, at the 9th hour, a Byzantine force engaged the Arabs of Muhammad in Palestine, 12 miles east of Gaza. Nothing is said about the course of the confrontation, but it is simply noted that the Byzantines fled, leaving behind their patrician, whom the Arabs killed, and that some 4,000 poor villagers of Palestine were killed there. Christians, Jews, and Samaritans, and the Arabs ravaged the whole region. That's right, folks. No colonization here in Islam, just peaceful takeover. Page 91. The Arab soldiers who had scattered across the island of Cyprus collected a huge amount of gold, slaves, inexpensive clothing, and brought it to the king, who was delighted at the quantity of the accumulated loot in the captives, male and female of every age. How do you pronounce this guy's name? I always forget it.
Muawiyah.
Muawiyah.
Oh,
Muawiyah. Yeah. I always forget how to pronounce that one. The Arabs roamed freely across the mountains and the plains, hunting for plunder and slaves. They winked at the natives out. They winkled the natives out of the cracks in the ground like eggs abandoned in the nest. The Arabs ravaged all the lands of Armenia, Albania, and Sunik, and stripped all the churches. They seized as hostages the leading princes of the country and the wives, sons, and daughters of many people. One of the latter tried to appeal to the compassion of the Armenian leader. This is when the Armenians start retaliating. He notes this. And the Armenian says to him, "We were taught by our Lord that merciful treatment is due to the merciful. You, however," speaking to the Arabs, "are a merciless nation and do not deserve any mercy." The Muslim sources confirm that a kind of slave revolt was taking place, though they are only concerned with the Arabs' reaction of this. As they said, "Our slaves are rebelling against us," complained the Kufan notables, "yet they are our booty, which God has granted us together with these lands." Then the Abbasids came to power after the revolt that began in what is today Iran. From the rebels' point of view, the Umayyads had failed in their jihad to struggle to obey Allah's will and Islamicize the world. Okay? So, and then what do we see? In Tunisia, they take Sicily in the mid-9th century. They use it as a base for launching raids into the rest of the Mediterranean Europe. In 1840, they seized Bari in southern Italy, and in 1846, they sacked Rome itself. Only 2 years later, they waylaid to Marseilles, France's chief Mediterranean port. The attack on Rome in 846, for example, left thousands of dead in the streets and reduced hundreds of churches to ashes. The Arab seizure of Sicily, in particular, left tens of thousands of Latins and Greek Christians dead, homeless, or exiled, and thereby created a particularly sensitive focal point of ethnic and religious antagonisms. Muslims' incursions into northern Italy and in southern France left heaps of Christians dead behind them, and the invaders carted off many of the valuables found in Christian churches and monasteries. In their attacks, the Muslim armies, whether from Spain, Morocco, Tunisia, or Egypt, were aided by mercenaries and slaves brought north from sub-Saharan Africa, marking the introduction of Black Africans into the European history. And we know how bad that turned out. Hoyland says, the old idea still commonly encountered in modern scholarly literature is that the native population welcomed the conquerors is wrong. It is only with hindsight and with the intention of integrating themselves with the Muslim authorities that later Christian authors would offer a positive assessment of the Arab invasion. So Muslim apologists will ravage their sources talking about how Christians were welcoming the Muslims in. These came from later sources, according to Hoyland. The current sources were devastated at what was going on. In Spain, the Muslims generally aimed at winning the religious contest through attrition, restricting Christian education and evangelism. They hoped slowly, but ultimately to Islamicize the peninsula. So not only is there compulsion in religion, there is coercion in religion. But I like this quote. I added this in as just a little extra. Telling insight is that the Christian rulers' success is the fact that as the Christian border moved further southward in the Reconquista, a large-scale migration of Spanish Muslim farmers and craftsmen moved northward, believing that their lives would be better as much-needed subjects of the Christian state than as residents of the declining Al-Andalus. Additional attacks you can see here. So here's a map from Bill Warner of all the jihads going across Europe. Yeah, there was no colonization, folks, just peaceful spreading of Islam everywhere. Now, real quick, one final note. Yes, Christians did also horrible things to Muslims. They did many horrible things. I'm not denying that. But for this Dawa clown to say that, oh, there was no colonization, a complete and total lie. absolute lie, utter nonsense. They were a huge problem, enslaving, raping, pillaging, moving their way across the Christian world, destroying what they could. Coercion was constantly there, trying to coerce or compel people to become Muslims using all sorts of horrible tactics. This was a massacre on a large scale. And for this Dawa clown to deny the history is absurd. And again, I only went through 2 books. I could have gone through more.
I just want to add just one thing as well is we have the whole military colonization and complete takeover, but over time the culture is completely erased. Again, you go to Egypt, the Coptic people, the Coptic language. Where's the Coptic language? No, it's Arabic.
Right.
They speak Arabic now. They've been Arabized. Somalia. Somalia never used to speak Arabic, but now most common language spoke there, Arabic.
Yeah.
You have these nations that have been destroyed and ridden of their own culture, and they've had Islam, the Arabic culture, imposed on them. It affects the way they dress, how they eat. Everything about them is influenced by Islam. They lose it. They lose it. And in all honesty, if Islam spreads, that's what happens. You lose your culture.
Yeah. Let's not forget about the Maltese as well. I mean, again, there's so many examples. I had other books. I didn't have time. I just grabbed quotes from these 2 books. It was like, this is plenty to debunk this nonsense that Islam was just, peaceful. We weren't colonizing. That's exactly what the Arabs were doing. That's exactly what they were doing. And again, it was not this peaceful, lovey-dovey takeover. Were the Christians always perfect? No, they did horrible things as well. But we're not going to deny it like Dawa Clown is denying it for his history. All right, let's get to some super chats, and we'll finish the video out. So get them in now. If anyone has a super chat, please put it in now. Helps fund the channel. We do appreciate it. Wonder if this guy believes we promote LGBT because we allow gay people to live and don't throw them off buildings. Yes, obviously. That must mean we promote it because we allow. He doesn't know the difference. Get it? Who's stronger, the Dawaganda scripture twisting or the Men of Al-Zut or Goku? Oh, the Dawaganda scripture twisting. Nothing is stronger than that.
I don't think the Men of Al-Zut. I don't think Goku could deal with the Men of Al-Zut. They overpowered the Prophet Muhammad.
I just... You see? Saw a note from my wife. It said it isn't working. Goodbye. Opened a fridge. Works just fine. I saw a note from my. This isn't working on the fridge, and I opened it. Was working just fine. Yeah,
that's funny.
Get it? That's a good one. I like that. IP. You need to repent of expecting Muslims to use logic and reason. You're right, apostate of Allah. You're absolutely right. I need to repent of that. I keep expecting the better of them, and they always surprise me. One gorilla versus 100 men of the Al-Zut. Who wins? Oh, the gorilla are screwed. I'll say that. The gorilla, there's no way. Never ends. We're going to hear about the men of the Al-Zut forever now.
It's just a meme at this point.
It is. It's never going away. Don't believe Than. An E-Thought said...
What is an E-Thought?
Isn't that like a...
Oh, an E-Thought is...
like an OnlyFans girl or something? Isn't that what that is?
Yeah, wait, Thought...
No, you know what? I'm not going down this rabbit hole. Because you know what happened? One time, I don't even remember what the word was. We were like trying to figure out what a specific word was, and... No, I'm not doing that. What was the word? What was the G? Oh, no, I'm not even going to say the word.
Let's move on, Than. Was the Muhammad in the Al-Zut or Than's? Was that Muhammad in the Al-Zut saying it, or was it Than saying it? Way to go, Than. Way to go. Look what you did.
Hey, man, are you going to complain about people throwing money at us saying uwu?
I don't like that word. It's stupid Gen Z stuff. Serious question. How do you go about finding a spouse without falling into it's in God's hand thinking and sitting and do nothing? I mean, this is a complicated issue, sir. I mean, I would say there's nothing wrong with dating around. Just, you know, keep it in your pants. Like, don't, get to know people. Go on group dates. Talk to girls. Ask them out. That's what you got to do.
Step one, that kind of stuff. Approach a woman. Step two.
I had a friend actually ask me this today. and my advice was, and I mean this tenderly, just go touch grass. Like literally, just go out there and get to know people. Go hang out in places and just be normal. One of the things I told people, even in our Discord server, I dare you. I'll plug that really quickly. If you want to join our Discord server, it's open for supporters right now. And in it, I gave dating advice recently, which was I find that men in our generation and younger generations tend to put women above and put them on a pedestal. In other words, like dehumanizing them, because there's more than one way to dehumanize somebody, right? You can make them less than or greater than what they actually are. And I think a lot of people tend to dehumanize women by making them into goddesses. The worst thing that's going to happen, man, is somebody just turns you down or they're not interested. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, I'll stop there. Welcome to my TED Talk.
You're alone right now. You ask someone out, they say no, you're still alone. You lost nothing in asking somebody out.
Yes.
So just you might feel a little embarrassed, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it.
And
so just keep doing it.
Yes, and to quote Uncle Ben, with great riz comes great responsibility.
What? No, you can't say that. No, you can't ruin Uncle Ben for me. No.
Uncle Ben, the only character that stays dead in Marvel Comics. Than, read that. No, Than, don't read that. No, we're not going to.
No.
I saw the word senpai. I didn't see anything.
Same. I didn't need to read anything else. I know where it's going.
Okay. No, we're not doing that, David. Let's get back to the video, guys. Come on.
So basically, cousin marriages are halal if they need to happen, but it's not encouraged within Islam. We even have a statement from Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu clearly discouraging the practice occurring generation after generation, recognizing the health dangers of it. And
so,
well, it's not working because who's all the cousin marriages? Muslims everywhere, as I cited in my video, which he didn't want to respond to.
Yeah, that hadith he brought up, that's not from the 6 major books of the Sunnah. So he's got that from someone who he was writing in the 14th century. And it's just a little suspect, that hadith, to begin with, exactly how reliable that is. But why did he have to go to like so far away? Why could he not quote the actual main, most commonly used, most authentic books to get this? He had to go to some really obscure collection of hadith from the 14th century to get there. But anyway, like you said, it didn't really work. It turns out that people just follow Muhammad and his companions, and they follow their example. And it turns out they do that more. Who would have known?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's cousin marriage is a huge problem in the Islamic world because it's allowed and because the Prophet engaged in it. Yeah, that's the problem.
It's occurring generation after generation, recognizing the health dangers of it. And while the dangers of cousin marriages are very real, you still have a monumentally high chance of having healthy kids, especially if you're the first generation to do it.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. You guys keep doing it generation after generation.
You won't be the first generation. Like, as in, okay, I see what he means. It means, right, okay, so he's not saying, like, no one has before done it. He's saying just in your immediate context. Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, if it's, like, permissible to do it once, there's nothing in Islam that says it isn't permissible to just keep doing it, and that's where the real harm comes in.
You know what would be a better system is that if you allowed a religious system that allowed you to use science to help guide your moral compass, like, I don't know, Christianity, like with our 2 books concept.
Mm-hmm. That would be massively better than the Islamic paradigm. Can you bring this? Oh
yeah, this for sure. Yeah,
up if you
bring that up.
You wouldn't have minds. Yeah. So I live in England, and England is a fun place because we have a significantly large Pakistani and Bangladeshi population. Now, this study just talks about illnesses that are diagnosed in general. It actually has a list of them that it used for the study. It doesn't make any direct connections to cousin marriage. Fair enough. But remember when you were doing your video IP, you brought about increased risk of diabetes and vascular disease. Well, they included those in this study, and they found that people from a Bangladesh or Pakistani background were overwhelmingly more disposed to having those issues than other members of different ethnicity groups in England, which is interesting studies, and it's kind of one of those forbidden things that you're not really meant to talk about. But there are disproportionately people from those backgrounds that you find in the NHS, in hospitals, a lot of the time. And I think that probably does have something to do with cousin marriage.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, it does. Yeah. It's a huge problem. What we're seeing is that all these genetic issues come out of it, and it's not happening from just one or two engaging it. It's a cultural thing that Islam allows and allows it to keep going. And what does it result in? Increased birth defects and problems, all sorts of horrible things that if Allah would have actually given good guidance, he could have said things like, "Hey, only once in a while," kind of thing. Like, with like only in these very special, specific circumstances, it's okay. Like if you're going to try to prevent poverty, like what we went over earlier, but don't make this a regular thing. Islam, no restraints on it. Mimic the Prophet. He's your moral example. He engaged in it, and just have at it. Cousin after cousin after cousin. What could possibly go wrong, guys?
Hey, really quickly, Mike. He uploaded a video 10 minutes ago entitled, "I Can Predict His Lies."
We should look at that when we're done here.
That being said, many of us live in big cities now, where there's many more fish in the sea. There's no need to stick with close relatives, but mashallah, our societies love to continue blindly doing what their forefathers kept doing without any critical thought. Yeah, I'm looking at you guys, especially Monty. Why the heck are you marrying all your kids to your nephews and nieces over and over again? It's this whole concept of, marriage isn't between the man and woman. It's between two families. So screw all the other families. I'm just going to choose my sister's kid as my daughter-in-law so I can boss her around. Doesn't matter how screwed up the next generation will be, since I and my parents are products of cousin marriages too. I can't wait to start a generations-long family feud over property our kids don't even care about anymore. I don't get it, man. It's not.
He's debunking himself.
Yeah.
He's showing why this should not be halal. Look at all the problems, guys. Look at how bad this is. This whole video was, guys, cousin marriage is allowed in Islam, but it's also comes from cultural issues, not Islam, but it's still halal. By the way, don't engage in it, guys. Like, are you this? Like, oh my goodness.
I think he's trying to make a joke out of it, so it's haha, but it just comes across as, oh no, you're just kind of admitting it now.
Yeah, you're admitting it. He's debunking himself again. He strawmanned it, proved my point that Islam does allow it, and now he's debunking and showing this is problematic. Muslims should stop engaging in it. Yeah, that's my point. But why aren't they stopping to engage in it? Because Allah doesn't know best. He did not give them good advice.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Notice as well, he was like, "Oh, you guys just keep doing what your forefathers did." It's like, they're doing what Muhammad did. So,
Yeah, let's get a super chat, and I'm going to take a look at that video he just uploaded. Fan mention. I'm really curious. Didn't see it, but we'll see what it says. See on Academia EDU, window cleansing and inheritance among the Lao Ken sounds like after the 3 talaq, when a woman must marry and consume the marriage with another man to return to her former husband. This, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is actually happening this is that practice happening in places like Kenya, for example, where a woman gets divorced. She wants to go back to her husband, but she's got to sleep with someone else before she can go back. That kind of stuff.
What
actually happening?
What is the rationale behind that?
Do you remember how I said Allah's quite arbitrary? Well, case in point.
Okay. Sorry for assuming that there's logic behind that, I guess.
Hey, IP, this is my first time donating. There's a channel named Joel Reads the Bible live right now, not being an absolute joke. Now being an absolute joke. He has a sizable audience that could be spreading misinformation. Yeah, we'll check it out. I've heard about him before. It's a much channel. Yeah,
people have brought that up to me a lot, and I'll say the same thing again here. At least I don't have the time to go through and find clips and all that kind of stuff. So if there's something that he's saying that is worth
find it for us,
please send it over to us. We really need the help when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Dawson says, update, I'm still not a martyr in Pakistan. Well, that's good to hear. We've been praying for you. Please stay safe and keep spreading the good news for sure over there. I appreciate all the advice until the Uncle Ben line. So no barks from me, Than. Haha. Ezra's turned on you. Good.
It's okay. I have many more dogs.
Yeah. You guys want to watch the video he just uploaded?
Yes, I'm excited.
I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's see. We've not seen it, so this is going to be amazing.
So I recently made this video calling out inspiring inspiring philosophy for his
What do
absolute
you call you? Inspiring what?
take on
I didn't even understand what he said there.
He didn't say Khadijah. I swear he said inspiring Khadijah. I was like, wait, what? That's a weird thing to say.
What
yeah,
is
the
that?
transcript says partic. I don't know. He didn't. You got to learn to enunciate, bro. I know you're watching right now, so you got to get better at this.
on Islam, Christianity, and cousin marriages. Do watch it first before watching this. Now, given how he operates, I have a feeling he's going to make a 2.5-hour live session with some genius to try and debunk me with even more terrible arguments.
Okay, well, David
He's
wasn't here,
wrong.
so that was wrong.
2 geniuses. Me and Tham.
Yeah.
I genuinely do not want to waste time making responses to response videos,
Can't.
especially on such a silly topic. So as a service to myself and all of you, I'm going to predict and reply to all the mental
Here we
gymnastics,
go.
lies, and straw men I expect these types of apologists will make. And
My
I'll
body's
schedule
ready.
upload this an hour and a half into his live session.
Well, that gives us time to go through. You didn't really think this one through.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, again, is like he's the one who's strawman because I never said
Unless-
Islam promotes it. So he's a
Unless
liar.
he planned for us to find it an hour and a half.
Maybe.
And he's playing 4D chess.
He's got another
But
video.
what
that he's
if?
already
But what if
pre-made.
I knew that you knew that I knew, and we are now predicting what you were going to do, and we know what your predictions are going to be.
Well, he is pretty smart, so.
And that will be the end of that.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
Before we
wait.
continue.
Just one thing. They have a habit of doing this as well. They do this funny, like, and that is why I'm not responding anymore. Like, and no one would blame me for not responding to this. Like, they kind of like, they try and get out of back and forths because they don't really go well for them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to want to cut this off real quick. And maybe that was his way of doing it.
Yeah, it typically is what they do.
I want to clarify. Cousin marriage really isn't that bad. Unless you keep doing it
No
over and over
way.
and over again. My personal
Yeah, he's already acknowledging he may have said some things in the last videos we showed where at the end of his video, he's going on about how bad cousin marriage is. It never responded to my actual going through the studies showing all the genetic issues, the blood disorders, what is it? Hillebrand disease, all that stuff. Doesn't want to go through any of that. He's just like, it's not that bad, guys. Let's just ignore all the studies that IP brought up. No, may pay no attention to them.
annoyance with it is if you have access to the entire Ummah in today's day and age, why limit yourself to your aunt's kid?
Because Allah allowed it, and it's a cultural thing. They're allowed, as you said when you brought up North Sentinel Island, Dawa Clown, it's about preserving the culture. You got to preserve that murderous island in their cousin marriage loving. You said that. So, in Allah allows it. He wants to preserve those cultures. This was your argument. Are you that bad at this?
Anyway, let's see how accurately I can read his inspired mind. But before that, hit the subscribe button. So given I can now see his thumbnail, I really hope he doesn't ignore my entire video debunking his nonsense claims and skip.
You mean like what you did, where you skipped over all of our points, or my points? You skipped over my main point. See, this is, man, the projection. He's constantly projecting his flaws. Like, that's what he did.
Didn't we go through the whole video, right? We literally went through all of his video, like
except for like the
live?
last minute. Yeah.
Oh well, that last minute, that's where the real hikmah was. You're gonna get the real huck and the hikmah in that last minute.
Right to the end to make me look like some desperate Muslim guy who supposedly has no response to his low IQ takes and mistakes, and mistakens my self-introspection on the Muslim community as some sort of defeat.
All right, that was his first prediction. He got that one wrong.
That's a really stupid, slimy thing to do, am I right? But seeing how smart these apologists have been in the past, I wouldn't be surprised. I think,
Guys, everyone watching, please go comment on this to tell him how his predictions are. I'd love to see that.
he's gonna manipulate my video a bunch to score some cheap points with his.
You mean what?
How did
You mean what you did to my video? Where you manipulate, you took
Manipulate the
things out of
video.
context? Like, this guy is like he's such a projectionist. He's projecting all the bad things he did and saying, I'm going to do them, which we didn't. We went through it piece by piece. But what did he do? He manipulated the video, took out a bunch of arguments.
I feel like my girlfriend from when I was like a teenager who was gaslighting me into thinking that she wasn't cheating on me by projecting her cheating habits onto me is treat like I feel like I'm in that situation again right now.
Yeah. That's what
It's
that's
resurfacing a lot of pain.
Welcome to Dawa, ladies and gentlemen.
is
Welcome
Dawa.
to Dawa. Yeah.
Yeah.
They lie and they call you a liar. They manipulate, they call you a manipulator. This is what they do.
Audience, kind of like how the Indian government still shamelessly lies about downing Pakistani jets after their much more expensive planes were blasted out of the sky. So one manipulation he will do is make it look like I purposefully deny Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam marrying a cousin of his.
But it is thought that generally Islam favors consanguineous unions, seen as following the Sunnah or deeds of the Prophet.
It is thought by whom? Lying Christian apologists? There is no theological encouragement of marrying your cousin in Islam. Oh, there isn't? Because I'm pretty sure I read in Bukhari that Muhammad married his cousin Zainab. Muhammad is
go to
the best
Bukhari.
example.
We didn't go to Bakari, so wrong there.
No,
And again,
you got that wrong.
Yeah.
Wow, did he use like one of those
From-
AI voice clones things? Because that was
Dan, Dawa Clown doesn't do a lot of research. He probably doesn't know those exist.
Best example for Muslims. So they have to follow him. It's Sunnah. DC Dawa is lying to you. All right, enough of this. So to dispel this nonsense, I never denied that the Prophet married his cousin. I just said that this is not considered a sunnah within Islam, and Muslims aren't marrying their cousins because of it. That
Chris, would you like to comment on that?
Oh, there are different types of what you mean for something to be sunnah. So there's sunnah as in the Prophet did it, and therefore you should go and do it. But there's another type, which is that the Prophet did it, but it's not expected of you to also go and do it. It's just that you can do it because it's a good example, because he did it, and it's part of his sunnah. So he's conflating those two, which is just wrong from a legal point of view. So, for example, Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old called Aisha. Now, you can find in different fiqhs, you'll find in particular books that are written by scholars many, many hundreds of years ago, where they say that that's a kind of sunnah because Muhammad did it and it was permissible to him to do it, and it's permissible for you guys to do it. But that doesn't mean that they're telling you that, right, as soon as you reach the age of whatever, you guys need to go out and find a 9-year-old. That's not what they're saying. Just that it's permissible.
Right. And that goes back to my point. It's allowed. He strawmanned my whole video, and now he's coping.
That's a false statement. Sunnah does not Islamically translate to deeds of the Prophet. Not every single action performed by the Prophet is considered sunnah. There are 5 categorizations of actions by
Yeah, I know. Like this is a hit and miss. He does not seem to understand the issue.
consensus of Islamic scholars based off the study of the Hadith and the Quran. Theologically, a sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad falls under mustahab, which means Muslims are encouraged to follow it and get rewarded for doing so. Going to sleep is not sunnah, even though the Prophet did it. Reciting these verses before going to bed, though, is sunnah, because the Prophet explicitly recommended these to us. You see the difference? I mean, even if you don't, it doesn't matter. This is above your pay grade, so rely on the experts rather than yourself. Marrying your cousin is not categorized as sunnah. It is not mustahab or recommended. It is simply mubah or permissible. So the statement you are relying on is false.
Bro, What was my argument in the original video? You're allowing it. You're mad about a quote now that shows it's allowed? And again, you're ignoring the top of the quote. What does the top of the quote say, Dawa Cloud? Attitudes towards consanguinity within Islam are ambiguous. So you don't want to highlight that part, do you? But so again, all I argued, never once did I say Islam promotes child marriage. All I argued was that it allows it. And you're admitting that. You're admitting I'm right. You did not predict accurately.
Yeah, it also seems that he's just getting caught up with the technical term sunnah.
Yeah.
Like you can just replace that with a more explicit sense of saying, well, it describes what Muhammad did in a favorable sense. You know, that the sunnah doesn't say, or the hadiths, whatever you want to look at, don't say Muhammad married his first cousin. This was a bad thing he did. It doesn't say that. It says he did this. And it also says he's a great example. So what does that mean? It means that this is probably a favorable thing. Now, there is stuff in different hadith that talk about Muhammad doing stuff specifically to demonstrate that it's not permissible. For example,
right.
This sounds weird, but Muhammad told people that you're not allowed to stand up and drink water at the same time. It sounds a bit weird. You're meant to sit down. But Muhammad actually, in the Sunnah, does this. He drinks water while standing up. And people record this. They say, we saw the Prophet Muhammad drinking while standing up. And the way they explain this is they'll say, well, he did that to show people that you shouldn't do this, but if you do, it's not the end of the world. And that's how they reconcile it. But yeah, we don't need to get caught up on the technical term sunnah. We can just call it very clearly what it is. It's just him setting a positive example in his own behavior, and that's it.
Yeah, well said.
Maybe don't shamelessly omit sentences from your quotations and actually read them. And maybe don't.
Dawa Clown, why is that sentence relative to my original point that Islam allows child consanguineous marriages? You have made the point that is somehow relevant, but you never justified it. You just said it ad hoc. Where's the actual evidence that was relevant to my point? You just said it to your audience, knowing they would believe you without using critical thinking.
Shamelessly misrepresent Christianity's stance on cousin marriage, which is what you did before and will do again.
No, Dawa Clown, you completely ignored the whole concept of the two books, the book of nature and the book of scripture. So you misrepresented it, and you didn't even play my whole arguments because you manipulated the video to leave those parts out. We know what you did.
See, I made it very clear in my video that Christianity does not have a blanket ban on cousin marriage. You can't pretend loosely enforced papal legislations represent all of Christianity.
You can't assume that Christianity is like Islam, that we need a bunch of sayings of the prophet in a sunnah. We don't need that. We have good guidance and principles, and it tells us, hey, study things, figure this out. Here are principles for guidance. But when you go out into the world and you start learning things, you're going to learn certain things that are going to be sinful that you may not have realized. This is why science comes out of the modern West, as Edward Grant notes, because we had the concept of separation of church and state, which led to different institutions. And these different institutions were allowed to develop without being completely under the umbrella of theology, like in Islam, as scholars like Edward Grant and Toby Huff note. Chris was there for my presentation in Britain. He knows what I'm talking about. So therefore, Christianity was allowed to develop principles. It's not as restrictive as Islam is, Dawa Clown. You just don't know this.
Because you don't know how ethics works in Christianity.
In Christianity, we started outlawing.
Well, now he's going to do it. It's about time. I was wondering when he was going to actually get to it.
These types of marriages early on because we had better guidance, including a principle we call the two books. The book of scripture.
Why wasn't this in your original video, dude? Why'd you leave that out? Funny how that works.
And the book of nature. We're allowed to use nature to better help us interpret scripture, as well as guide our moral compasses. So when science shows us all the problems that result from cousin marriages, we're allowed to say that's immoral because of what we found in nature.
Yes! I'm gonna believe everything you have just said. I'm so happy Christians had figured out that looking at nature is equal to God's inspired words in giving us morality. So what if the Bible allows cousin marriages? We can look at nature to see the results. I actually don't know if his parents were cousins or not. That's why the Catholic Church has papal legislations requiring special dispensations for cousin marriages to make sure Europe does not sink into immorality. Well done, you guys. That book of nature will really come in handy when a bunch of inbred Holy Roman emperors come knocking on
He still thinks they're
Wait.
Holy Roman Empire.
He still thinks they are. Yeah, he hasn't corrected it.
Nope.
This was like one of the, there was so much dumb things that just happened in the span of like a minute that I actually don't know what to do.
I think the thing that got me is that he's arguing against reason, right? He's basically saying, so we could say we have revelation and we have a reason, and we believe that these can synergize together. He's saying, no, throw reason out. Like he's just mocking reason. You Christians, you have to use reason and logic. Gosh, you guys don't need that in Islam.
Does DC Dawa know what natural theology is?
I mean, actually, natural theology is contentious in Islam. Like Kalam, speculative theology anyway. Like they have hard limits on what they can say. So it's not like us. We can look at reality, but they can't.
Who cares what Islam thinks there? Because the critique is against Christianity.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing in Christianity is God created the natural world. So yeah, it's just as good as scripture. This is why it's called the two books concept. Nature is from God as well. And so is our reason. So this is why we use all these things. We're not just these blind morons in Islam where we just have to shut up, do what God says and not think. See, he's attacking this as if it's a bad thing. No, it's a good thing that we're allowed to study nature.
Yeah, he's literally just saying, don't like switch your brain off.
No moral reasoning at all, because that might lead you to find out that the things that Islam teaches is wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't use your critical thinking skills in Islam.
That book of nature will really come in handy when a bunch of inbred Holy Roman emperors come knocking on your door asking for dispensations to marry their nieces.
And once again, these guys are not infallible, authoritative figures on how to interpret theology. Really good guys.
I'm sure you won't give it to them, though. So the church seems to have figured everything out about cousin marriages. Oi, Luther! Why are you always causing problems, man? Why are you contradicting the church on marriage? Are you a heretic? The book of nature is clear, man. Our inspired philosopher explained it to us.
Dawa clown. Science had not progressed to that far. It started in the 500s. It started to figure out there's problems here, but there was still dispute. But now we know that it is wrong. There's so much science now. Do you not realize how science works?
It's almost as if we can like look at the natural world and we can adapt accordingly.
And what were you going to say, Than? Than's going to have an aneurysm with from all the stupidity.
This is part of the reason why I just don't get into this stuff, man. It's just like I can't handle stupid, okay? I can handle it when our people that are not knowledgeable but are humble will engage in these things. But you combine arrogance with stupidity, man, and it's just like that's
Dawa.
You're gonna break me. I'm broken.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat, just go let DC Dawa. Well, no, we were reviewing this one too.
To us, sola scriptura? What are you talking about? What do you mean God's words are above nature? So
that's not what sola scriptura means. Oh my god.
Oh dear. Yeah, he doesn't. Oh.
No, this is so bad. No,
I'm gonna. Okay, like, if you're gonna bring me onto these streams from now on when we're covering Islam, I'm gonna have a pillow that I can scream into because I don't want to wake up my kids.
Yeah. There's debate even about what sola scriptura mean. He puts one like very fundamentalist definition on there and thinks that Martin Luther did not hold to this definition of sola scriptura. Philip Melanchthon didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The Anglicans did not either.
So what if the Catholics are preaching
Sorry, Chris, did you want to say something?
I was going to say, see what I mean? Like he has to, well, he doesn't know. I don't think he knows about different Protestant denominations. He thinks they're all the same because he's bizarre. He knows nothing about Christianity.
Yeah.
Are preaching non-biblical things. Yeah, so if you didn't get it yet, basically Protestants do not place natural law or the book of nature above the Bible, even though they don't fully reject the concept.
No one talks
false.
about placing anything above the Bible. No one says that. No one's like, oh, you know what's great, the Bible, but what's even better is the natural law. No one says this.
Notice the
They're
sleight
just
of
made
hand.
up in your head.
Notice the sleight of hand. We said the two books concept. They go. He's like, oh, you're saying nature's above the Bible. Sleight of
exactly.
hand. That's not what we said. So notice again the straw manning.
Disingenuous.
He can predict the lies.
We're being
He's the
gaslit.
liar. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tamer. He's gaslighting because he realized he got caught making a really dumb video.
Which is why your big man, Martin Luther, decided to mention that he can marry his brother's daughter in his 16th century research paper on marriage. And that is why Protestant theology allows cousin marriages. But perhaps our guy
What?
here is Catholic, so he doesn't.
What?
Yep. Welcome to Dawa, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, I need to have a conversation with my church. I need to go up to them and just be like, hey, I heard from DC Dower that you guys are all down with cousin marriages now. You'd have a serious conversation with my church, man. I didn't know this, DC Dower.
There were churches that rebelled against the Catholic Church early on and said, no, we're going to allow cousin marriages, like Darwin married a cousin. But guess what happened? We kept doing more science and we realized, oh, man, look at the birth defects. Yeah, let's go back to what the book of nature shows us, that this should be wrong and outlawed.
My heart rate has been continually elevating in the last like 3 minutes. It's gone from 47 to a steady 880 at the moment.
Doesn't care what Protestants think, except he's not Catholic. He seems to be a weird hybrid. Maybe he's the Christian version of sushi.
And quite frankly, I don't think there's one denomination or branch of Christianity I agree entirely with.
Great! Fantastic! If you want to create a buffet out of Christianity, good for you. But don't come here and pretend your buffet selection represents all of Christianity when it only represents snippets of Catholicism.
And
wow, he thinks that you basically have to take a tradition and embrace every single person who's ever held that tradition, apparently.
Yes.
Unify them all. And then that's what you need to believe.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with the subject matter at hand?
Nothing. It's just a big pivot to attack IP.
It's deflection because he's got nothing. He's got nothing. Listen, Dawa Clan, this is very easy. Where are the most cousin marriages happening? In Islamic nations and Islamic cultures and Islamic families, Islamic regions. They're not happening in the West because we're allowed to use the book of nature, unlike you. Now, have Christians engaged in cousin marriage in the past? Yeah. But now the science is so concrete. We started realizing it in the 500s, and then it just kept getting more and more and more on our side. And there were defectors. And of course, everyone has now come back around for the most part.
Christianity, we started outlawing these types of marriages early on. So when science shows us all the problems that result from cousin marriages, we're allowed to say that's immoral because of what we found in nature. And you have preachers like this guy saying all that matters is what Allah said, when in reality, what matters is what the science shows.
Okay, since science is over your God's words in your buffet.
Again, sleight of hand. Notice the sleight of hand. We said there's two books and they go hand in hand. Notice how the sleight of hand, the lies, the continue. We can predict. We don't need to predict your lies. We can see your lies, buddy.
A selection of a religion. Explain to me why Christianity allows alcohol, a far greater threat to humanity than cousin marriages.
Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, cars kill more people than alcohol does, so I guess we have a big we have to explain a lot when it comes to why we have no issue with cars or other things as well. By that logic, man, are you gonna say that because alcohol has bad consequences, we must de facto compare this with cousin marriages, which is insane.
There's no benefits.
Which has no benefits. I mean, in fact, it has like harm both genetically and it has harm in terms of the kind of societies it creates. It creates clan-based tribal societies, which is what pre-Islamic Arabia was. It's what Muhammad was born into. It's what he engaged with by marrying Zainab, his first cousin. He then had Ali, his his cousin, his paternal cousin, marry his own daughter. So he's continuing it in his own tradition. Nothing good came out of that whatsoever, and it still happens today. You're comparing that to alcohol, to which has many benefits.
Let me just ask this question. Does Islam have any dietary prohibitions against, like, explicit ones against overconsumption of overly processed foods to the point that you actually become diabetic or anything like that? Because like the literature suggests that you can be addicted to sugar, you can be addicted to a lot of different things, and that, I would argue, like has like a statistically higher relevance of negative effects on people. Does Islam have anything to say on that?
As far as I'm aware, I don't think so. No, especially on like
that seems like
sugar,
a counterexample to this line of argumentation. Then
listen, there are positive benefits from Islam. Or sorry, that is completely false.
There are IP refuted.
There are positive benefits to alcohol in that it can help loosen you up to talk to more people. The problem is over drinking, which clearly the Bible says don't be a drunkard.
Exactly.
So everything in moderation. By the way, I had to walk around because I had to clap at my dogs because they kept scratching the door. So people heard me do something. That's what was going on. But let's get straight. We can finish this out.
Even if you only drink in moderation,
Oh,
they
God.
still have serious negative health effects than not drinking at all.
So does sugar. So does sugar. So does trans fats. Why is that not allowed in Islam?
That's also very contentious. There are many people that would say specific kinds of alcohol, it's usually red wine they give, where if you have in moderate amounts, do have health benefits. So again, that's contentious.
There's, health. Sorry, I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, so good.
For your context, like the primary thing I studied before I got into any of this was health and nutrition. And for me, hearing stuff like this is just asinine, okay? Because like health, goodness, right? If you even want to say that, which I would reject that label in the first place, it's not measured like this, right? Like if something is good or bad for you, experts in the field don't ask questions like that, because whether it's good or bad for you is going to be a total holistic assessment of how the benefits and the cons outweigh each other in relevance to the cultural, societal, and overall paradigm of nutrition that you are in. So for instance, like I've actively spoken against like people jumping on the carnivore diet unless they have like a genetic issue that precludes having kiwis and stuff like that, right? But the thing is, like, and the reason why is because you have people jumping onto the carnivore diet, they're eating a bunch of meat, and they're thinking, well, this is going to help me lose weight, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're gaining a bunch of weight because they're having an overabundance of fat and they're pre-diabetic. And the whole entire point that I'm trying to make here is like this good or bad thing is just ridiculous, and I got triggered. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm just trying to point out.
That's good to know.
You can think of it like this. Like, let's say someone is suffering from incredible anxiety. Okay, well, having a drink relaxes them. That's good for their health then. Yeah, something like that.
Now, you could say, oh, that's a silly argument. Pepsi is harmful, but just because Pepsi is not exclusively banned in Christianity doesn't mean Christianity is false. Yeah, right. That's exactly why your entire video on cousin marriages and whatever potential response you're going to give is idiotic. And this is what ticks me off about these apologies.
No, that's not a fair representation.
No,
there are advantages to Pepsi. There are clear advantages to it, right? It gives much enjoyment to many people, and it doesn't ruin societies anywhere near as much as cousin marriages do, with genetic defects that are being passed down from generation to generation. You're comparing apples and oranges, and you're trying to say they're the same thing.
Well said.
It's just bad, low IQ arguments that their followers gobble up. They lack integrity. And it's really sad because people like him, with his knowledge and his base, have the potential to...
It took that a while ago. That was like when I had 450,000. He uses an old image. Interesting. He's been triggered by me for a long time, obviously. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Honestly make the world a better place by raising his base have the potential to honestly make the world a better place by raising the level of dialogue between Muslims and Christians, and that level can only be raised through honesty, not deception.
Yeah, guys, he needs to raise. He's gonna help the dialogue between Muslims and Christians by responding to me with lies, misrepresentations, saying that I said Islam promotes instead of allows, insults, like again, utter projection. He's upset that I'm responding. Dude, you started this. You didn't have to make the lie of a video you did. I know you're watching right now, so we know what's going on.
Oh, he is.
We know he's very triggered by all this.
Just converted to Eastern Orthodoxy or Catholicism. Maybe give it like a decade before you start speaking with authority about like the traditions of the church and what the church fathers would say, and your deep understanding of the theology of this religion you've converted to.
Right. So if you realize how ridiculous it is for a guy with zero credibility or expertise to talk about your religion, why do you do it all the time with ours? That's exactly what your Islamic dilemmas sound like to us. Think about it.
And your responses to the Islamic dilemma are so bad. You will lie to us. We'll put up like Surah 285 or Surah 568. Here's what it says. And you will tell us with a straight face. It says the exact opposite of what we can read. I don't care if you're triggered by them, if you think they're bad. That's you coping for the fact that it's so easy to debunk Islam. So you have to lie to us like you did in this video, the prior one. And anytime you try to debunk the Islamic dilemma, you have to lie to us about what the verses say. And Giant AOC has been on my channel. We've gone through this stuff and we've looked at the Arabic. So I don't know what to tell you.
The main Muslim arguments against Christianity, the incoherency of God becoming man and dying for humanity, the corruption of the Gospels. These are talking points used by agnostics and atheists as well. I have never heard an atheist or an agnostic say, "Oh wow, this Islamic dilemma argument is pure genius."
Oh, you just wait, buddy. I'm going to be on an atheist channel before the month is over. He thinks it is pure genius. So you kind of should wait a little bit before you jump the gun on that one.
Let's use this to debunk Islam in the future. Yet that seems to be the trump card of Christian apologetics, despite how pathetic of an argument it is.
Notice the Islamic dilemma had nothing to do with these videos. He just brought it up because it's on his mind. He's so triggered by it. They're so triggered by the Islamic dilemma because they can't debunk it. It lives rent-free in their head because they can't stop thinking about it. They got to figure out ways to get rid of it. They can't, though. I love it. He brought this up. It had nothing to do with the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, jokes aside, I know you're a smart guy. Why don't you raise your level of integrity? Stop trying to create flaws and start looking for truth. Then we can begin
Wait. Pause up there. But he acknowledged it's a flaw. He acknowledged that cousin marriage is a flaw. He even said it at the end of his video. He went through all of the negative things. So you know it's bad. What? It makes no sense for him to complain about that. He actually agrees with you. It is bad.
Yeah. I don't understand what he's even doing here at this point. He's just ranting. He's upset we were responding. So he panicked, made this video thinking it would like fix everything. And he just made it worse.
Much more productive dialogue. So for those of you still watching, did I predict things accurately?
Nope.
Did I
Guys, go tell him. Everyone watching, go let him know how he predicted things. He did not do
Terrible job.
Terrible.
read him like a book? Or did I read him the way a Christian reads the Bible? Oh, no, sorry, guys. It's only a joke. A pretty bad one, too, probably.
Yes.
I love all open-minded people, whether you are a Muslim, Christian, or anyone else. He just hasn't presented himself as one of them so far. So I'm forced to reply in kind. You know the drill. Like,
bro, what do you mean reply in kind? You were the one who started this by insulting me, lying, straw manning. We're replying in kind. You are the one who started this derogatory conversation. You say you want better conversations. Then why wasn't your reply more productive without?
Because he's got to be the big man. He's got to be the big Dawa guy, you know? Islam strong. And
It's
yeah, it doesn't
incredible.
work.
They do this with a straight face. They will lie, insult you, and go, "Why are you lying and insulting us?" Like, dude, you're the ones who started this. Start acting like a man. If you want better conversations, show it. Don't make these horrible replies that are filled with lies that are just going to be jokes to us, and then get mad when we reply. This was something. I don't think he expected us to go through it.
I don't think so either. Hey, DC Dawa, your prophet married his first cousin, Zainab, and it was ordained by Allah, and it's written in your Quran. And Ali, the paternal cousin of Muhammad, he married Muhammad's daughter, Fatima. And yeah, that's another cousin marriage. So it looks like both your prophet and your prophet's family are completely okay with this. And Muhammad in Surah 33, ayah 21, says that he is the example. He is a great example for Muslims like you, DC Dawa, to follow. Now, I want you to, here's a little challenge to you. I will condemn Martin Luther's comments about inappropriate marriages if you condemn Muhammad's inappropriate marriages. If you do the same thing, then I'll do the same thing. And I already know you'll never do that, because you can't do that, because you can't condemn Muhammad, because then you wouldn't be a Muslim.
Well, we will condemn Martin Luther's comments, all the people in the Middle Ages who had cousin marriages. Now you condemn Muhammad. All of them. Yeah. All wrong. They did not understand the book of nature and the book of scripture well enough. Luckily, we have progress in Christianity. We're allowed that because we're allowed to study nature, unlike you guys, which odd you were attacking reason, but okay. So can't believe you skipped my super chat. I really wanted to hear San say that. May Al-Zut find you. JK, love you all. Appreciate it. Than can't see the depth of the lack of self-awareness. That's true. That is true. All right. Well, he got another prediction wrong because we're going to close out before 2.5 hours. So another wrong prediction.
Don't be a prophet, DC Dawa. It's not for you.
Not for you, buddy. Nope.
Man.
Nice try. Maybe in the future, Thin and I will go through your attempt to debunk the anonymous gospels. That's got to be a hoot.
I'm gonna have to. Am I allowed to sip on some alcohol during that stream to calm myself down?
You will.
Okay.
The benefits. The benefits of alcohol. They're interesting. In moderation.
Yes.
All right, guys. Than and I will be live on the channel Thursday with William Lane Craig, talk about his new book on systematic theology. So come back for that. That'll be in the afternoon. Chris will be back at some point. We'll figure that out. But I have his channel link below. Go subscribe to him. And everyone, as soon as the video is done, please like and comment. It does actually help the video. So the more comments we get at the bottom, the better. So everyone watching, please comment. Excellent. All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. We will see you guys next time.
You made it to the end of this video, which means this message matters to you. If you want to see more content like this reaching people for Christ, you can help make it happen. Your support makes these videos possible. Click the link below and donate today. And if you want to go even deeper, consider joining our Patreon community. You'll get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and a place to connect with others passionate about this mission.